Chapter 2641. His position in House U was no different from the normal disciples. There was no happiness in his life at all. The only thing that kept him going was vengeance. Now that he had his revenge, he was dead. From a practitioner and a competitor for the position of heir to a crippled and abandoned pawn, no one would feel good about this. One day, of course, that's not a problem. Qibing breathed out in relief and agreed. He didn't need Yushan to say anything. Even if he didn't, with his strength, he wouldn't let Lenny go. All right, I'll take the risk and help you this once, but you can't sell me out after this. You have to take all the responsibility. Yushan said. All right, no problem. Zhao Qibing agreed without a second thought. After all, he was going to have a showdown with House Yu after forcing himself on them. Instead of dragging Yushan into this, he might as well take the responsibility himself. To him, the result was the same, but to Yushan, it was definitely harming him. If that's the case, I'll think of something. Let's see if I can ask Ning out for a walk after 2 days of meals. Then you can bring some men and knock us out, kidnap Ning, and then you can carry out your plan, Yushan said. Yushan said. This was actually a plan he'd thought of before, but if he'd told Qibing directly, Qibing would have been suspicious and might even report him to House Yu. But he slowly brought up the topic from Qijio, and it didn't seem too sudden at all. In the end, it seemed like Qibing was the one who'd asked for it, and Yushan had no choice but to agree. All right, let me know in advance. It'll take me 3 hours to get to the hidden House Yu from here. I need to prepare in advance. Qibing nodded. Then what are you preparing for? Why don't you just come over today and wait for me? Yushan said. All right, I'll be there right away. Qibing quickly replied. After hanging up, Qibing's emotions were surging. This trick was a little despicable, but to him, it wasn't dangerous at all. He didn't know that Yu Ning was the inheritor, and he didn't know how important Yu Ning was to House Yu in that place. That was why he fell for Yushan's trick and took the bait. If he knew that there was such a powerful force behind Yu Ning, he would be scared to death. But that was the way of the world. Ignorance was bliss, and Qibing felt that even if Elder Yu wasn't willing, he would still agree to the marriage proposal. He was the future head of the hidden house Zhao, after all, and it wouldn't be a loss for Yu Ning to marry him. However, Zhao Qibing didn't lose his rationality. After the excitement, he didn't act on his own and went to Elder Zhao's place. Master Bing, are you looking for the old patriarch? Elder Mian smiled as he looked at Qibing. He wasn't as experienced as Elder Bai, and naturally, he couldn't be as arrogant as Elder Bai, supporting whoever he wanted to be the next head of the house. Elder Mian, on the other hand, was trying to please Qibing for his own position. Yes, Elder Mian, is my grandpa here? Qibing nodded. He's here. The old patriarch has just finished his training. Master Bing, you can go in directly, Elder Mian said. All right, thank you, Elder Mian. Zhao Qibing nodded and entered the courtyard where Elder Zhao practiced. Elder Zhao had just finished his training when he heard the voice outside the door. Qibing, didn't you just break your leg? Why are you still walking around? Oh, I used a small recovery pill, Grandpa. It's fine now, Qibing said. Qibing said, Grandpa, I have something important to ask you. Can you see if it's possible? Oh, what is it? Tell me. Elder Zhao signaled for Qibing to continue. It's like this. Qibing told old Zhao about how Qijio was lucky enough to find a 100,000-year treasure in the elixir, as well as how he wanted to get House Yu support and forced himself on Yu Ning. He told old Zhao all about it. What? You're saying that Qijio is breaking through to Sky Class? Elder Zhao's heart skipped a beat. He didn't think that Qijio would have something like this. This was completely out of his expectations. At this moment, he even regretted treating Qikuan like this. If he gave up on Qibing and supported Qikuan, then House Zhao would have 2 Sky Class Masters in the future. But that would be a little unfair to Qibing. After all, he was the one who gave him the Sky Class, and there was no turning back now. The hidden house Zhao had already signed Qikuan up for the Sky Elixir School's test, and there was no turning back now. He had no choice but to go through with it. So, the most important thing now was to kidnap House Yu onto Qibing's chariot. As long as House Yu supported Qibing, then Qijio wouldn't be able to do anything even if he was a Sky Class. House Yu had 2 Sky Class Masters, and one of them was Sky Class Early Phase Peak. Qijie wouldn't be able to do anything. So, as for what Qibing said about forcing Yuning, Elder Zhao didn't think it was good for Hao Xiao's reputation, but from a profit perspective, it was still doable. The marriage between Zhao Guanyin and Yu Shaojin had benefited the Hidden House a lot over the years. The Hidden House didn't have a sky class before, and they were at the bottom of the Hidden House hierarchy. They were only slightly stronger than the Hidden House Han. But with House Yu's help, House Xiao's position slowly rose. Although Elder Zhao was a sky class now, compared to the Hidden House Yu, House Zhao was still much weaker. Because of the Qi gathering pill, the relationship between House Zhao and House Yu had fallen to a freezing point. If Qibing could get the beauty back, then the two houses would be on good terms again, and this was a good thing for House Zhao. The only thing that worried Old Zhao was Yushan's goal. Old Zhao was a shrewd man, and naturally, he didn't believe that Yushan would be so kind as to report to Qibing and help him out of the goodness of his heart. It didn't seem realistic. Yushan, that's what he told you? I feel like his goal isn't that simple. Elder Zhao said, it's weird that he told you about Qijie. You don't know him at all. You've only met him once. If it were you, would you do that? Chapter 2642, FF37, FF18, XFF33, FF23, OMU85C0F, 8BF4, 66F4, 65B0, 6700, 5 February, 5C0F, 8BF4, 9605, 8BFB, 7F51. Oh, you're saying? Oh, right, Yushan is crippled. His position in the Hidden House must be dropping, especially after what he did to Yu Bing in the Ice Palace test. It'd be weird if Yu Shaoqin treated him nicely. I can't blame him for looking for someone else. Elder Zhao nodded. He said, you want me to get revenge on Lin Yi this? Zhao Qibing was a little worried after hearing what Elder Yu said. I'm not afraid of that. I think it's just an excuse. There are some things he can't say. You said that you'll help him become an elder of House Yu, and he didn't object to it, did he? I think he doesn't want to be a cripple for the rest of his life, so he wants to get some benefits from you. Elder Zhao analyzed. Grandpa, you're the best, hitting the nail on the head. I didn't think of that. Zhao Qibing said respectfully. Haha, but it's fine. If we do this well, it'll be beneficial for us. We can help Yushan in the future. After all, we shouldn't forget the person who dug the well. Elder Zhao nodded. But this is a very important matter. You have to do it well. Don't mess it up. If you mess it up, then our relationship with the Hidden House, you will be irreparable. It'll be impossible for you to propose again. Elder Yu seems to love Yuning a lot, so you either succeed or don't do it. We can't afford the consequences of failure. I understand. Zhao Qibing nodded happily. Grandpa said this, so it meant that he agreed with what he was doing. Let's keep a low profile for this. You only need to bring one man to help. There are too many people, and if the news gets leaked, then it won't be fun anymore. Elder Zhao reminded. Also, don't say anything to this man before the execution of the plan, just in case he leaks the news. Don't worry, Grandpa. I know what I'm doing, Qibing replied. Elder Bai's gone. Why don't you let him follow you? I trust him. Old Zhao sighed. Elder Mian is fine, but I've been asking him to help me look for sky-class weapons these days. He's in contact with the Cultivator Trade Association, so he can't leave. How about this? In our family, who is your most trusted subordinate? Uncle Zhu then. He's the first one to follow me, and he's one of my loyal dogs. Why don't we bring him along? Qibing said after some thought. Sure, but don't mention the word lackey in the future. You're the young patriarch, so you need to learn how to win people's hearts. You have to be more respectful to him, Old Man Zhao reminded. Haha, grandfather. Of course I know that. I'm just saying it in front of you. Actually, I'm quite good at winning people's hearts. Uncle Zhu and his brother Boss Zhu were so touched by my words that they swore to follow me until their deaths. Qibing smiled proudly. That's right. Yes, it's about the principles of controlling subordinates. I'll explain it to you in the future. This is a necessary skill for a young patriarch. Go do what you need to do first. We'll talk about it when we get back. Old Zhao nodded and said to Qibing. Zhao Qibing left Elder Zhao's place and found Uncle Zhu. Uncle Zhu, prepare the car now. We're going out for a while. We have something to do. Now. Uncle Zhu paused. Master Bing, didn't we just come back? What are we going to do? Don't ask so much. You'll know when we get there. Qibing didn't explain too much. He remembered old Zhao's words, to be careful and not leak the news. Yes, Uncle Zhu quickly nodded and went to prepare the car. Ice Palace. In the outer sect disciple dormitory, there was a most luxurious dormitory. This was where the outer sect disciple with the highest status lived, which was also the head deacon of the outer sect disciples. He was in charge of all the outer sect disciples' training, as well as the distribution of rewards and punishments, as well as the distribution of monthly stipends. Most importantly, the head deacon didn't have to do all the chores of the outer disciples. He just had to say a few words, and it would be done. The rest of the time, they could train peacefully like the inner disciples, and they had all the privileges of an inner disciple. Apart from not being able to live with inner disciples, the monthly allowance and cultivation resources they enjoyed were no different from inner disciples. Even the ordinary inner disciples had to respectfully address the head deacon of the outer disciples as senior brother. The head deacon of the Ice Palace, on the other hand, was Yu Bing. Of course, this was also because of Xiao Xiao. Yu Bing's potential was good, but he wouldn't be able to get this position otherwise. It was no different from an inner disciple, even higher than an inner disciple. Now, the Ice Palace's outer sect had a new vice deacon. It was Zhao Qijio, the one who found the 100,000-year treasure. Although Zhao Qijio was also arranged to stay in the dorm next door, he was close to Yu Bing. They were both Lin Yi's lackeys, and so their relationship was quite good. According to past management, there would always be differences between the two, but Yu Bing and Zhao Qijio didn't. Both of them got their positions because of their relationship with Lin Yi, with Xiao Xiao's approval. They belonged to the same faction in the Ice Palace, and they were both Mrs. Lin Yi's subordinates. What was there to argue about? And so, the two just moved to the same villa, exchanging pointers and training experiences, and the two improved at lightning speed. After all, the qi here was thick, and there were plenty of resources. The two were the top of the food chain, and their lives were as carefree as they could get. You're not planning on using those pills? Yu Bing looked at Qijio, not quite comprehending. Ever since Qijio got those pills, he'd kept them away, not using them at all. Yu Bing didn't want to ask too much, since they belonged to him. Asking too much would make Qijio misunderstand and think that he was asking for them. But after a while, Qijio didn't use them, and Yu Bing couldn't help but ask. Me? Qijio paused and smiled bitterly. You didn't ask me for so long. I thought you knew my goal. I didn't think that you really didn't know. So you asked me out of curiosity. People are always curious when they see something they don't understand. I'm no exception. Yu Bing paused for a second before smiling. Training pills are things that should be done sooner rather than later. The small chi gathering pills you have now can help you break through to the Earth class, but once you become an Earth class, the small chi gathering pills won't be of much use anymore. FF37, W0, 3C9, 30FB, off 4D. Chapter 2643, FF37, FF18, XFF33, FF23, OMU85C0F, 8BF4, 66F4, 65B0, 6700, 5 February, 5C0F, 8BF4, 9605, 8BFB, 7F51. Of course I know that, but I want to keep the pills and give them to Boss Lin E and Master Tan when I see them. Qijio shook his head and said firmly, Master Tan helped me, and Boss Lin E saved both of our lives. As the saying goes, a drop of water should be repaid with a spring. Qijio, am not that strong, and I don't want to be some master. All I can do is try my best to repay Master Tan and Boss Lin E. Leaving these pills for them is natural. Plus, these pills were given to us by the first madam. If it weren't for her relationship with a vice sect leader, how could I have gotten these pills? Those 100,000-year-old treasures grew in the Ice Palace, and if I didn't find them, it'd be good enough if someone gave me one. Why would she give me so many? That's true. Yu Bing couldn't help but be moved by Qijio's words. He didn't expect Chijio to be so loyal to Lin, Yi, and Chikuin. But Yu Bing thought about himself. If he were the one who got the pills, would he have given them to Linny? The answer was obvious. Yu Bing would have done that. He was able to keep his life from Yushan, stay in the Ice Palace to train, and become an outer sect deacon, all because of Lin Yi. If it weren't for Lin Yi, he might have died long ago. And so, Yu Bing's gratitude towards Lin Yi was no less than Chijio's. When Chijio said that he wanted to leave the pills behind, he understood what he was thinking. But he still tried to persuade him. It's been so long, Lin Yi must have broken through Mystic to Earth. He might be close to Sky Class now. I think you should take the small chi gathering pills yourself, and leave the middle ones for Boss Lin Yi. Actually, I'm leaving the small chi gathering pills for Master Tan. Chijio smiled. Yu Bing, you don't have to persuade me. I've made up my mind. I won't touch these pills. I'd rather train myself. All right, if that's the case, let's work hard together. Yu Bing nodded. In actuality, Xiao Xiao really wanted to give these pills to Lin Yi directly, but she couldn't. Bing Tang had a promise with Lin Yi. If Lin Yi couldn't make the Ice Heart Jade Bone pill within 2 years, she'd have to accept the inheritance. If Lin Yi could become a Sky Class Late Phase Peak or a Golden Class Level 3 Alchemist, Bing Tang will become Lin Yi's little wife. So, Xiao Xiao couldn't help Lin Yi in the dark, and Bing Tang wouldn't allow it. And so, the only thing Xiao Xiao could do now was to give these pills to Lin Yi's followers so that they could grow as fast as possible and become Lin Yi's helpers in the future. What Xiao Xiao didn't expect, however, was that Chijio was this loyal. She was leaving the pills for Lin Yi. But what Xiao Xiao didn't know was that while she was thinking about Lin Yi, Bing Tang was also secretly paying attention to Lin Yi. Lin Yi promised her that he could make the Ice Heart Jade Bone pill within 2 years, but Bing Tang didn't really believe him. So, naturally, she paid more attention to Lin Yi. Of course, there was another reason as well. Bing Tang had once said that if Lin Yi became a Golden Class Level 3 Alchemist, or a Sky Class Late Phase Peak, she'd marry Lin Yi to be his little wife. Bing Tang was worried that Lin Yi would accidentally achieve his goal. Should she marry him or not? This was a problem that Bing Tang was very conflicted about, especially after seeing Lin Yi's strength increase by leaps and bounds. He went from Mystic Late Phase to Earth Mid-Phase Peak when they first met in the Ice Palace. What surprised Bing Tang the most was that Lin Yi was actually selling a bunch of Level 2 pills in the Practitioners' Exchanges market, and they were all high-quality pills. Could it be that Lin Yi had become a Level 2 alchemist in such a short time? One had to know that many alchemists couldn't even reach the 2nd rank in their lifetime. Moreover, even if they were a 2nd-rank alchemist, it was impossible for them to create a pill that was as full as Lin Yi's. This situation made Bing Tang both surprised and confused. But she wasn't going to tell Xiao Xiao these things. She was the vice leader of the Ice Palace now, but she was only in charge of the internal affairs. Contact with the outside world was still in Bing Tang's hands, and getting information through Manager Li wasn't something Xiao Xiao could interfere with. That night, Lin Yi drove off with Meng Yao, Yu Shu, and Xin Yan after the movie was over. Pin Liang had successfully gone on a date with Meng Yao, but the two hadn't made any headway in their relationship at all. It was worse than before because of his big mouth. Liang bro, it's all that Tang Yuqi's fault. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't be so useless today, Xiao Fu said angrily. Tang Yuqi? Whatever. Let's ignore him for now, Pin Liang said with a frown. I can see now that Yushu's an ungrateful wretch. I gave her so many benefits, and she sold me out in the blink of an eye. If I want to get close to Yao Yao, the biggest obstacle isn't Lin Yi, it's her. Oh, then what do we do? Get rid of her? Xiao Fu made a throat-slitting gesture. He'd seen a lot of bloody things in the Tomorrow and Everyday sect recently, and he'd become colder to human life. I don't think we can do that. It's a bit difficult, and Lin Yi isn't someone to be trifled with. If Yushu were to die out of nowhere, he'd definitely suspect me, Pin Liang said. But in order to make sure that this girl doesn't come and cause trouble for Lin Yi, I'm planning on getting the drunken centipede to bite that Yushu girl before the fight starts. She'll pass out, so she won't cause any more trouble. Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll get rid of that girl and cause trouble for Lin Yi at the same time. Two birds with one stone. Xiaofu said in agreement. Then it's settled. Pinliang came up with a plan in a few sentences. Tomorrow morning, I'll go to the school's broadcast room and announce that I'm going to challenge Lin Yi. The school's charity party this time was very successful, and the total amount raised was over 100 million. Of course, Pinliang and Qibing took up the majority of the money. The other bosses and celebrities didn't donate as much. The ones who donated more than 10 million, the ones who donated less than 100,000, and the ones who donated less than 10,000 were very common. The amount of money raised surprised the school. It was a lot more than the previous years. Of course, this was also due to Pinliang and Qibing's efforts. Although no one knew why the two would give such a high price, as long as they had a heart, it was fine. If they didn't say anything, no one would ask. FF37, W03C9, 30FB, off 4D. Chapter 2644. FF37, FF18, XFF33, FF23, OMU85C0F, 8BF4, 66F4, 65B0, 6700, 5 February, 5C0F, 8BF4, 9605, 8BFB, 7F51. The next morning, Lin Yi called Yu Xiaoka and told her the good news. However, Lin Yi didn't feel any happiness from Yu Xiaoka's tone. Lin Yi was confused. Yu Xiaoka, are you unhappy? I'm happy, Yu Xiaoka said weakly, but her heart was in a mess. Why did Lin Yi call her for the school's donation money? Did it show that he cared about her? Yu Xiaoka couldn't help but think too much. She couldn't help it. Once she misunderstood Lin Yi. No matter what Lin Yi did, she would think that Lin Yi had special feelings for her. What's wrong? Are you not feeling well? Lin Yi asked with concern. Although Lin Yi's identity was Lin Yi, he was still a male thief. These two identities would overlap in front of Yu Xiaoka, so it was reasonable that Lin Yi showed special care for Yu Xiaoka. I'm fine. Yu Xiaoka was on her period these few days, and she was indeed in a bad mood. But she couldn't tell Lin Yi about this. She didn't think that their relationship was that good. Oh, never mind then. I'll bring the donation over in a few days and visit the orphanage. Lin Yi didn't think too much about it. Don't come, Yu Xiaoka said subconsciously, but after saying it, she felt that she was overreacting. So she quickly changed her words. I mean, how are you going to bring that much money? You could just send it over directly. What if you lose it? Remittance? That's fine, but the charity money is in the school's account for now. The school's finance department gives you a check, so you just need to exchange it at the bank. Let me see. I'll exchange it for you when I'm free, Lin Yi said. All right, then send the money after you exchange it. I'll send you the orphanage's account in a bit, Yu Xiaoka said. Sure. Lin Yi didn't think much of it. After all, it was troublesome for him to go to Songshan personally. Lin Yi just arrived at the classroom. A familiar male voice came from the loudspeaker in the school broadcasting room. Hello, can you hear me? Whether it was in the classroom, the playground, or the students resting in the dormitory, they were all stunned when they heard this sound. It was rare for the school broadcast to have this kind of sound test. Only those who were not familiar with the broadcast would do this. Hello, everyone. I'm Zhong Pingliang. I believe everyone knows me, so I don't need to introduce myself. Pingliang's voice came through the speakers once more. I'm here to announce something important. I'm going to challenge Lin Yi to a sparring match. The time will be 1 in the afternoon, and the venue will be the school's small field. I'd like to invite all of you to come watch. Thank you, everyone. Lin Yi, I'll be waiting for you there. Don't be afraid to come. Whoever doesn't come is a coward, a son of a bitch. Zhong Pingliang wanted to announce the challenge at the auction last night, but because of Yushu's interference, he had no choice but to announce it in the broadcasting room in the morning. It took him a long time to get the approval of the student council before he came to the broadcasting room to issue the letter of challenge. The school didn't forbid students from sparring. As long as it wasn't too big of a commotion, the school wouldn't interfere. But Zhong Pingliang's challenge was a bit vulgar. He might even get punished. But Zhong Pingliang didn't care. As long as he could become Meng Yao's bodyguard, it was all worth it. He was afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't accept the challenge, so he had to say it out loud. Lin Yi listened to Zhong Pingliang's challenge on the loudspeaker. Lin Yi was astonished. The kid was challenging again? Did he have some trump card up his sleeve? Donghai Engineering University's campus echoed with Pingliang's declaration of war. Yushu and Meng Yao, who were in the economics department's classroom, naturally heard the news as well. Yao, Zhong Pingliang really has a purpose this time. He must have gotten some new treasure from the everyday sect, or else he wouldn't have agreed to fight Shield Bro, Yushu said. But he doesn't have Zhong Pingliang's golden cicada underwear. Won't he just get beaten up? Who knows? Meng Yao shook her head. Why didn't I see it yesterday? His disguise was good enough. Yeah, I'll go check it out during lunch break, see if I can find out what trump card Zhong Pingliang has up his sleeve. Yushu said, I'll leave this mission to Detective Shu 007. Then be careful. Meng Yao nodded after some hesitation. She didn't want Lin Yi to lose. Knowing your enemy was the key to victory, but she still reminded him. Zhong Pingliang seems to have his guard up against you. Don't force it if you really can't do it. Yeah, I know. Yushu nodded. At noon, Yushu called Pingliang as soon as class ended. Shu, what's up? Zhong Pingliang hated Yushu to the core, but he still acted friendly on the outside. He couldn't help it, since Yushu was Meng Yao's best friend. Liangyi, where are you? Why are you challenging Shield Bro again? Are you sure you can win? Yushu probed. Zhong Pingliang already knew that Yushu was definitely with Lin Yi, not him. He also knew that Yushu was probably here for information. He'd been taken advantage of once, so there was no way he'd let that happen again. He'd been thinking of asking Yushu to come out as well. He wanted to release the centipede to bite her, knock her out, and mess up his mood. He'd been thinking of an excuse to ask her out, but Yushu came to him on her own. Pingliang was overjoyed, but didn't let it show on his face. I'm in the little park behind the school, practicing my martial arts. You'll know if I'm confident or not if you come and see my ultimate move, won't you? Oh, you have an ultimate move? Then I'll have to see it for myself. Yushu wasn't expecting Zhong Pingliang to agree so quickly. Then wait for me at the park behind the school. I'll be there right away. Okay, wait. Zhong Pingliang suddenly changed the topic. You're not here to get information for Lin Yi, are you? Did you steal my Zhong Pingliang's golden cicada underwear last time? What mid-class golden cicada underwear? What's that? Is it the same thing as Zhong Pingliang's golden cicada underwear? Yushu asked. You don't know? It's nothing. You do it then. Pingliang said, feigning his attack. FF37, W03C9, 30FB, off 4D. Chapter 2645. 10 minutes later, Yushu arrived at the park behind school. There'd be a lot of couples dating here if it were summer, but it was winter now, and the weather was cold. There weren't many people here, and Pingliang, on the other hand, was at a flower bed by the side of the fountain, practicing some moves he didn't know what they were doing. In actuality, Pingliang was just following the moves blindly. He couldn't use the moves yet, but he could mimic the moves. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to do anything if Lin Yi fainted on stage. Liangyi, Yushu was a little puzzled when she saw that Pingliang was really practicing. Did this guy have some sort of inheritance? How did he become a practitioner? Oh, Shu, you're here? Pingliang stopped practicing and called out to Xiaofu. Xiaofu, go get some drinks. This was something they'd agreed on beforehand. Xiaofu would spray some bait on the drinks, luring the centipede to bite Yushu without anyone noticing. Even Yushu herself wouldn't know. Okay, Liang bro. Xiaofu went to get the drinks while Pingliang sat on the flower bed nearby. Shu, tell me the truth. Do you think I'm Meng Yao's bodyguard or not? Why do I feel like you've been messing with me this whole time? About this, I can tell you the truth. When Shield Bro first came here, he was tricked by us many times. But Shield Bro always dodged us and didn't let us trick him. This is the only way to become Yao Sis's bodyguard. Yushu said, as the saying goes, you need to be strong to forge iron. A gentleman can't blame himself for training. You've been messed with, and that only means that you're not strong enough. You need more experience. I see. Pin Liang thought about it. Yushu's words made sense. It was true that they didn't like Lin Yi at first, and even encouraged him to teach Lin Yi a lesson. It seemed that Yushu wasn't lying this time. But that didn't mean Pin Liang would let Yushu go just like that. Xiaofu came back with 3 bottles of drinks, handing one to Yushu and the other to Pin Liang before drinking one himself. Yushu, on the other hand, was caught off guard. After all, Pin Liang always gave her snacks. She hadn't expected Gao Xiaofu to tamper with the drink bottles. Gulp. Pin Liang finished the drink in one gulp before tossing the bottle away. He stood up and turned to Yushu. How about I show you my ultimate move now? Let's see if I can defeat Lin Yi. Sure. Yushu nodded and watched as Pin Liang started practicing martial arts on the spot. He wasn't activating the martial arts, but Yushu didn't know that. Pin Liang was doing it very well. I thought he had just learned this martial technique from somewhere. After a while, Pin Liang released the centipede when Yushu wasn't paying attention. The centipede, on the other hand, was looking for a bait when it wasn't being attacked. Yushu wasn't too far away, and the centipede locked onto her in no time at all. The centipede whooshed over to Yushu's side, burrowing into Yushu's pants and biting down. What's that? Yushu felt a slight pain in her leg. She was about to check it out when a wave of dizziness hit her, and she fainted on the ground. The centipede, on the other hand, quickly retreated from Yushu's pants. It crawled back into Pin Liang's sleeve. Haha, this centipede sure is useful. Pin Liang was overjoyed at the sight of Yushu fainting. It gave him a boost in confidence. He was full of hope for his match with Lin Yi this afternoon. He turned to Xiaofu. Give me the phone. I'll call Yao Yao and get her to pick Yushu up. Okay. Xiaofu passed the phone to Pin Liang. Pin Liang had been training, and it wasn't convenient for him to carry his phone with him, so he gave it to Xiaofu for safekeeping. Pin Liang dialed Ming Yao's number after taking the phone. Yushu went to find out what was going on, and Ming Yao was waiting for her in the cafeteria. Pin Liang's call made her feel uneasy. Hello? Pin Liang, what's up? Yao Yao, it's bad. Shu fainted all of a sudden. Pin Liang said, panicking. What? Shu fainted? What happened? Ming Yao jumped up from her seat and ran out of the cafeteria, ignoring the food on her table. She ran towards the park behind school. I don't know. Shu said she wanted to watch me practice, so I showed her. But then she fainted all of a sudden. I didn't dare move around, afraid that it was some kind of acute illness. It'd be bad if I moved. Pin Liang said. Liang bro. You. Pin Liang was explaining to Meng Yao when Xiaofu interrupted. Xiaofu, don't talk. We'll talk later. Pin Liang cut Xiaofu off impatiently before turning to Meng Yao. Yao Yao, come to the park behind the school. Guys and girls shouldn't touch each other. I can't just carry her to the hospital. Okay, I'll be right there. With that, Meng Yao hung up and quickly called Lin Yi, telling him about Shu fainting and telling him to rush to the park behind the school as soon as possible. After hanging up, Pin Liang turned to Xiaofu. Xiaofu, what's up? Can't you see that I'm calling Meng Yao? What if we get exposed? No, Liang bro, your sleeves. Xiaofu pointed at Pin Liang's sleeves, his expression shocked. What's wrong with my sleeves? Pin Liang paused, not understanding. Your sleeve, it's smoking. Xiaofu suddenly yelled. Oh no, your sleeve is on fire. What? Pin Liang was shocked to realize that his clothes were smoking, and his sleeves were on fire. This situation gave him a huge fright. What's going on? What's wrong with my sleeve? Why is it on fire? Chapter 2646. Pin Liang had no other choice but to jump into the fountain next to the flower bed. It was winter, and even though the fountain was warm, the weather was too cold. The water in the fountain was covered in ice, and Pin Liang shivered from the cold as he jumped in. Fortunately, he managed to put out the fire. Pin Liang quickly climbed out of the pool and sneezed. What's going on? Why is my body on fire for no reason? Liang bro, the centipede is still in your sleeve. Are you okay? Xiaofu was thinking about the centipede, wondering how it was doing. Yeah, my centipede, Pin Liang said, shocked. He remembered that the sleeve that caught on fire was the one with the centipede inside. He didn't know how it was doing. He quickly chanted in beast language to summon the centipede, but the centipede didn't come out. Pin Liang was scared out of his wits. He quickly flipped open his sleeve and found the centipede inside, but it wasn't the centipede at all. The centipede had turned into a dried centipede, and even though Pin Liang was soaking wet, the centipede was still red and smoking. Pin Liang couldn't help but throw the centipede to the ground subconsciously. Why is the centipede smoking? Did it catch on fire? Xiaofu looked at the centipede on the ground, confused. What's going on? Pin Liang looked at the centipede on the ground, dumbfounded. This was his trump card against Lin Yi. Now that the centipede had caught on fire and turned into a dried centipede, it was clearly dead. What was he going to do about the match in the afternoon? How did the centipede die? The two were studying it when Meng Yao and Lin Yi came running over. Pin Liang had no choice but to roll up the dried centipede with his sleeve. His expression was as ugly as it could get. "Shu, are you okay?" Meng Yao ran over and held onto Yushu's hand, calling her name. She was the closest to Shu, even though they were always bickering with each other. But there really was trouble. She was also the most concerned. Yao, don't worry. Let me take a look first." Lin Yi sighed in relief when he saw that Yushu was still breathing. As long as she was still breathing. Meng Yao knew that there was nothing she could do to help, and so she quickly moved to the side to give Lin Yi space. Lin Yi put his hand on Yushu's pulse, carefully checking her body condition. Meng Yao, on the other hand, glared at Pin Liang. "Pin Liang, what's wrong with you? Did you do it?" "What do you mean I did it?" Pin Liang said with a sad face. Meng Yao looked at him for a long time. She didn't know why he was so sad, but it didn't look like he'd done anything to Shu. How could she know? Pin Liang's centipede had turned into a dried-up centipede. Shu seems fine. She just fainted. Her body functions are normal, and her breathing is stable. It doesn't look like she's poisoned. It looks like she fainted after getting drunk, but there's no alcohol in her body. That's weird. Could it be that she's too tired? Lin Yi asked curiously after checking Yushu's condition. "Oh, is that so?" Meng Yao found it strange as well, but Lin Yi said that Yushu was fine. She let out a sigh of relief. "That's good. Since she's fine, let's carry her back to the dorms. She looks really tired." "Okay." Lin Yi nodded and carried Yushu. He looked at the sad Pin Liang and said, "Pin Liang, I'll fight with you in the afternoon. I'll take Shu back first." "Okay." Pin Liang wanted to cry, but no tears came out. What should he do? Should he run away? The centipede was dead. Wouldn't he get beaten up if he went on stage? He wasn't looking for trouble that badly, but running away was embarrassing enough. He just boasted this morning, saying that whoever didn't come was a son of a bitch. Could that son of a bitch be him? Pin Liang was helpless, but there was nothing he could do. "Liang bro, what do we do?" Xiaofu didn't know what to do as well. "What else can we do?" "Run, go back to the everyday sect, and hide for a while." How did the centipede catch fire? That's weird. Pin Liang had no other choice. He had to run. He'd lose the competition anyway, so he might as well not go. Just like that? Xiaofu paused, but after thinking about it, what else could he do? He nodded. "Then let's go back to the dorms and pack up?" "Yeah, let's go." Pin Liang made up his mind. Pin Liang had no choice but to run. His centipede was dead, and he didn't have any trump cards he could use against Lin Yi. He could only hurry back to the dorms with Xiaofu, pack up their stuff, and leave the dorms quickly. However, the students who saw them didn't think that they'd run away, thinking that they were preparing for the match in the afternoon. Pin Liang took advantage of the situation. The two quietly went to the parking lot, got into the car, and drove out of the school. Lin Yi sent Yushu back to Meng Yao's dorm, and since Yushu was indeed unconscious, the auntie at the door didn't stop Lin Yi from going upstairs. "Lin Yi, is she really okay?" Meng Yao asked curiously as she looked at the unconscious Yushu on the bed. "It's really fine, at least from what I can see. Her body functions are normal. She just fainted," Lin Yi said. "She'll wake up in an hour or so if there are no accidents." "That's good." Meng Yao let out a breath of relief. "Have you eaten yet?" "I haven't." "Nope, I'll go buy some." Meng Yao called Lin Yi over before he could eat. "It's fine. There's some instant noodles in the dorm. I'll go make 2 bowls. I'm a little worried about Shu." Meng Yao didn't have much of an appetite, so she went to make some instant noodles. Okay, Lenny nodded. The instant noodles were finished quickly, and since Shu was unconscious, Lin, Yi, and Meng Yao sat there with nothing to do. The atmosphere was a little awkward. Chapter 26:47. The two rarely had the chance to be alone, and they didn't know what to say. Lenny wanted to say something, but Meng Yao spoke up as well. The two looked at each other and smiled. You first, Lenny smiled. I'm actually fine. I'm fine. I just wanted to ask, are you going to participate in Zhong Pingliang's challenge? Meng Yao said with a smile, and the tension between the two dissipated in an instant. I don't want to go, but I have to go. He said that through the loudspeaker. I'm a coward if I don't go. Son of a bitch. Although I don't know who my mother is, I was raised by old Lin. Wouldn't I be insulting him? Lenny smiled bitterly and shook his head helplessly. That's true. That's true. Zhong Pingliang is really annoying. He's too stubborn. I don't like him, but he won't stop pestering me. If it wasn't for Shu, I don't know how much trouble I'd be in. Meng Yao sighed. Just thinking about Zhong Pingliang gave her a headache. That's true, but he's quite loyal. It's just that his pestering is a bit abnormal. Lenny said, and this guy's luck is pretty good. Jiang Wen cut off his kidney, and he's still alive. Forget it. Since there's no other way, we'll go. Meng Yao said, I wonder what Zhong Pingliang is relying on this time. According to his personality, he wouldn't challenge someone without something to rely on. We can only wait for Shu to wake up. Lenny knew that Yushu was going to find out Zhong Pingliang's trump card. An hour passed quickly. As the two were talking, Yushu opened her eyes, but she was a bit confused. Where am I? Huh? Yao Yao sis, shield bro. You guys are here? This is the dorm? Shu, you fainted just now. What happened? Meng Yao saw that Yushu woke up and was happy. He quickly asked. Right, Pin Liang said he was going to show me his ultimate move, but I got dizzy all of a sudden. Yushu remembered. I fainted? How could that be? Could it be Zhong Pingliang? Lin, he thought of something all of a sudden. Did he do something to knock you out? I think so. I feel pain in my leg. It was as if he had been bitten by something. I wanted to see what was going on, but I fainted. Yushu suddenly remembered the situation and quickly explained. Let me see that leg. Lin, he quickly asked. This is it. Yushu opened her pants, revealing her lotus root-like calf. There was indeed a row of small teeth marks on it. Yushu was shocked. What the hell is this? I think he was bitten by a bug. Let me see. Lin, he said as he studied the bite marks on Yushu's calf. But he couldn't see anything. Could it be some kind of spirit beast? Did Zhong Pingliang get his hands on a spirit beast? It's possible. Shu, I know. This spirit beast must be Zhong Pingliang's trump card. He wants to bite Shield Bro in the afternoon and knock him out. Yushu immediately thought of the reason. He's using me as an experiment. Yushu's deduction was pretty much the truth. But she didn't know Pingliang's motive. She thought that he was using her as an experiment. That's possible. Lenny nodded as he put his guard up. If Zhong Pingliang really used this spirit beast to bite people, then Lin, he had to be careful. What if he fell for it and fainted? Wouldn't he lose before the battle even started? Shu, I really have to thank you this time. If you didn't put yourself in danger, I might have been careless. Oh, that's good. Shu didn't faint for nothing. But Zhong Pingliang sure is evil, using a spirit beast to bite me. Yushu raged. I'll make him suffer the next time I see him. But what Yushu didn't expect was that even if it wasn't for life, it was more or less the same. There wasn't any news from Pin Liang for a long time. Meng Yao breathed a sigh of relief. But at the same time, Yushu missed Pin Liang a little. It was lonely without someone to prank her. At 1:30 in the afternoon, the school's small field was filled with students. Many faculties didn't have classes on Monday afternoons this month, and Pin Liang had chosen this day to join the fun since everyone had nothing to do. Lin Yi, Meng Yao, and Yushu came to the school field together. Someone shouted, Lin Yi's here, and everyone's eyes focused on him. In actuality, Lin Yi wasn't a famous person in the school. He only gained some fame after beating Zhong Pingliang last time, and this time, Zhong Pingliang was challenging Lin Yi as well. This made Lin Yi a little more famous. Lin Yi and the others came to the center of the field and saw that by Wei Tao, He Mei Wei, Wang Xinyan, Han Jingjing, and the others were already there. Even Yu Coiling Tiger and Kong Xiaolong were here. But Zhong Pingliang was nowhere to be seen. According to the usual management, Zhong Pingliang would always arrive early, and Lin Yi would arrive on time. But this time, Lin Yi was here, but Zhong Pingliang wasn't. Where's Zhong Pingliang? Lin Yi paused and asked by Wei Tuo. I don't see him. He hasn't shown up, and his follower isn't here either. If you weren't here, we would have thought that the challenge was cancelled. Bai Wei Tuo said, confused. He's not here. Lin Yi was even more confused. With Zhong Pingliang's personality, he wouldn't be late. If he had the confidence to win, he would have come early. After waiting for a while, Lin Yi still didn't see Zhong Pingliang and Gao Xiaofu. 20 minutes had already passed, and the students were getting impatient. They were all complaining about Zhong Pingliang breaking his promise in time. Helpless, Lin Yi took out his phone and dialed Zhong Pingliang's number. But the call went through, and the other side didn't pick up. Instead, the call was hung up. This made Lin even more confused. What was Zhong Pingliang doing? He dialed again, and the call was hung up again. Lin Yi was helpless. He turned to the students. Who's in the same class as Zhong Pingliang? Someone go see if he's in the dorm. Chapter 2648. Pingliang's car is gone too. I went to the parking lot to take a look. Another person said, What? The dorm is gone, and the car is gone? He's not even picking up our calls? Is this kid messing with us? A classmate immediately complained after listening to him. Yeah, this guy disappeared after declaring war. Isn't he messing with us? Is he a son of a bitch? Another classmate cursed angrily. Lin Yi and the others waited for a while, and it was 2 in the afternoon, but Pingliang was still nowhere to be seen. Lin Yi had no choice but to retreat, and the other classmates dispersed as well. Pingliang, however, had confirmed his declaration of war in the morning. He was a coward, a son of a bitch, but Pingliang didn't care about that right now. He just wanted to get back to the everyday sect as soon as possible and ask Master Chunyang what had happened to his centipede that night. Pingliang finally made it back to the everyday sect. Naipeo was very enthusiastic about Pingliang's return, but Master Chunyang's face darkened when he saw the centipede that had been turned into a dried one. This spirit beast was useless to the everyday sect, but it was still a treasure. If he sold it to a hidden house or a small sect, he'd be able to sell it for a few $100 million, but Pingliang had turned it into nothing. Of course, if it had just been the 100 drunken centipede, heavenly venerable pure yang wouldn't have been so angry. The key was that the mid-grade golden cicada undergarment and the black iron staff had both been lost by Zhong Pingliang. How could Master Chunyang be happy about this? You're saying that after this centipede bit that girl called Yushu, it started emitting smoke and became a dried centipede? Pure Yang looked at the dried centipede in his hand in disbelief as he asked with a dark expression on his face. Yeah, it seems like the centipede didn't come into contact with anything after that. That's it. Pingliang nodded after some thought. Bullshit. This isn't the first time this centipede has bitten someone. At most, it doesn't have any effect. I've never heard of a centipede emitting smoke. Pure Yang was furious. He felt that Pingliang was lying through his teeth. Master, I'm not lying. It's really like that. Pingliang said bitterly. He carefully said with a smile, I think you're lying through your teeth. Empyrean Pure Yang slapped the table and said, Was it caused by Lin? Master, calm down. I don't think Liang Bro's lying. That Yushu girl's a little weird. She might have smeared some poison on her body. Naipeo quickly tried to help out upon seeing his master's anger. Oh, is that so? Pure Yang frowned, but Naipeo was his beloved disciple, so he said that. Only then did he calm down a little and pick up the centipede again. After a while, he couldn't help but exclaim in surprise, This centipede seems to have been poisoned by fire poison. That's not poison. Not poison. Naipeo paused as well, then, Zhong Pingliang, tell your master the truth. How did this centipede die? It's definitely not poison. It's probably the fire poison of a fire element practitioner, and it's something that only a practitioner who's trained to the extreme could do. Pure Yang said solemnly. He asked, Master, I'm not lying to you. This centipede only bit Yushu once. Other than me and Gao Xiaofu, there was no one else, Pin Liang said with certainty. So you're saying that Yushu is a fire element practitioner? Pure Yang asked. No, she's definitely not a practitioner. I haven't officially become one yet, but I'd be able to tell if someone else was a practitioner. Pin Liang said. Plus, Nai Peo can also prove that Yushu isn't a practitioner. Nai Peo can prove that Yushu isn't a practitioner, too. We've been in school together for 3 years. I know what kind of person she is. She's not a practitioner? Pure Yang didn't seem to believe Pin Liang's words, but he suddenly thought of something and his expression changed. Wait for me. I have something to confirm. Yes, Master. Pin Liang and Gao Xiaofu didn't dare say much and nodded. Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang quickly returned to his residence and made a phone call. Soon, the voice of the Xianshan ancestor came through the phone. Pure Yang? Xianshan ancestor, it's me. Pure Yang didn't waste any time and said hurriedly, I have something to confirm with you. There's a person called Yushu in Donghai City. Do you know her? Why, you want to touch her? The Xianshan ancestor's tone suddenly changed. You can't touch this person. She's a pawn in my plan. No matter what grudge you have with her, you have to put down first. Do you hear me? Xianshan ancestor, I have no grudge with her. Don't worry. Pure Yang heard the Xianshan ancestor's tone and felt extremely aggrieved, but he had to be very respectful to him. The Five Elements sect and the Everyday and Sun sect were both primordial sects 1,000 years ago, but both sects declined and were eliminated from the ranks of the primordial sections. When the other primordial sects moved to Heaven Island, they were excluded. In the past 1,000 years, the Five Elements sect and the Everyday and Sun sect had planned to return to Heaven Island and return to the level of the primordial sections. However, the Five Elements sect became more and more powerful, while the Everyday and Sun sect declined. As a result, the Everyday and Sun sect, which used to be on an equal footing with the Five Elements sect, was reduced to an existence similar to the primordial sections. From a cooperative relationship with the Five Elements sect, it became almost a subsidiary relationship. However, Pure Yang couldn't do anything. After all, the Xianshan ancestor was not only a generation older than him, but the Everyday and Sun sect really didn't have many powerful people. Other than Kuangyo Ancestral Master, who had been in seclusion for a long time, the most powerful person was him, Pure Yang, but even he was not a match for the Xianshan ancestor. This was also because of an accident that happened more than 10 years ago. 2 extreme external masters forcibly took away Kuangyo Ancestral Master's senior brother, Kuanglong Ancestral Master, and killed the second senior brother, Kuangpong Ancestral Master. This greatly damaged the strength of the Everyday and Sun sect. On the other hand, the Five Elements sect had always been low-key, especially during the period when the Xianshan ancestor was in charge. It was so low-key that the outside world even thought that the Xianshan ancestor, an alchemist, was an independent cultivator. Chapter 2649. Only a few heads of the ancient sects knew about this secret. The rest of the sects didn't know about it. This also allowed the Five Elements sect to luckily escape the calamity of that year and preserve their strength. And that's for the best. The Xianshan ancestor nodded and said, How's your disciple Zhang Naipeo's chrysanthemum arts? What level is he at? He's at the 2nd level now. He hasn't reached perfection yet. Pure Yang said, Only the 2nd level. We need to hurry. He'll be one of the most important chess pieces. The Xianshan ancestor said, Don't worry, Elder Xianshan. Zhang Naipeo's training speed is very fast, and this plan isn't just your sects. We, the Everyday and Everyday sect, have been waiting for this moment for a long time. In order to return to the Archean plane, Pure Yang could only bow and kneel before the Five Elements sect. That's good. I'll hang up first if there's nothing else. Don't mention Yushu to anyone. The Xianshan ancestor said. Okay. Pure Yang Tianzuan hung up the phone. This time, he believed Zhong Pingliang's words. However, he was also cursing Pingliang's bad luck. He could have used the centipede to bite anyone, but he had to bite Yushu a fire inheritor. Although the Xinshan ancestor didn't say it clearly, Pure Yang Sky Master had already guessed it. Returning to the previous room, Pure Yang knew the whole story, but he was still very unhappy with Zhong Pingliang. He couldn't be angry at Zhong Pingliang because Zhang Naipeo was here. If it were any other disciple, even if they weren't killed by Pure Yang to vent their anger, they would have been chased off the mountain a long time ago. But since it involved Zhang Naipeo, Pure Yang could only endure it for now. He tolerated Zhang Naipeo not only because he was his beloved disciple, but also because he practiced the chrysanthemum arts. It would be an important part of the future plan, so Pure Yang tolerated Zhong Pingliang again and again. All right, Zhong Pingliang, I figured it out, and I believe what you said. Pure Yang didn't blame Zhong Pingliang anymore, but waved his hand and said, however, I don't have any good way for you to go back and take revenge for now. It's fine, I'm not in a hurry. Thank you for your trust, Master. Pingliang breathed out in relief, not daring to ask for more. After all, he had already lost 3 treasures. Yes, according to the rules of the Everyday and Everyday sect, outer disciples can choose a place to live in the back mountain. Here, you and Gao Xiaofu can stay here for now, and Naipeo will bring you guys to choose a place. You guys can train here for now, and I'll come find you when I have a better idea. Pure Yang couldn't be bothered with Pingliang any longer and sent him to the back mountain. Letting him go to the back mountain to train on his own wouldn't make Naipeo feel bad. Out of sight, out of mind. However, Zhong Pingliang didn't know what Master Chunyang was thinking. He quickly thanked him. Thank you, Master. I'll stay here and cultivate then. Pingliang didn't dare go back to school for a while. He'd boasted before, but he didn't have the guts to challenge them. Wasn't he just a coward and a son of a bitch? Pingliang would definitely be cursed at when he got back. As a result, he decided to wait for the matter to die down first. Liang bro, what do you think of these houses? Naipeo brought Pingliang and Xiaofu to the back mountain. He said apologetically, the ones with nice views are all taken by the more experienced outer disciples. You're a latecomer, Liang bro. I can use my authority to find you a good place, but that'll have to wait until after the new year when the resources are redistributed. You'll have to make do with it for the next 2 months. It's fine. Pingliang said with a wave of his hand. I think this place is fine. It's quiet, and no one's bothering us. The outer disciples wake up early to train in those crowded places, especially the physical practitioners. They're always making noises all day, disturbing my sleep. That's true. Naipeo nodded. My house is in the inner sect. If it weren't for the sect rules, you guys could live with me, Liang bro. My place is really big, and I can't use it all by myself. Haha, pal. I'm very happy that you're willing. Pingliang patted Naipeo on the shoulder. The best decision I've ever made in my life was taking you in as my follower. I can see that if it weren't for you, Master wouldn't even care about me, let alone give me the mystic treasure to fight Lin Yi. I even broke the mystic treasure, and he didn't even blame me for it. It's all because of you, Naipeo said with a smile. Naipeo's eyes lit up. Liang bro, don't say that. When I was in trouble, it was you who helped me out, Liang bro. My family would have been dead a long time ago, and I wouldn't be able to train here in peace. Naipeo shook his head. Liang bro, just stay here for now. When the time comes, I'll see if I can get you another mystic treasure, so you can go back and teach Lin Yi a lesson. All right, there's no rush. I'm very happy that you're willing. Pingliang was overjoyed. Donghai Industry University. Pingliang and Gao Xiaofu were nowhere to be seen even after school ended. The two had disappeared just like that, and the challenge had turned into a farce. What confused Lin Yi, however, was that Pingliang clearly had a trump card. So why did he give up on the challenge all of a sudden? Could it be that his spirit beast was broken? Or could it be that it could only be used once and wouldn't work after that? Of course, Lin Yi never would have thought that Pingliang's spirit beast would turn into a dried centipede, poisoned by Yushu's fire. Shield bro, Pingliang really didn't come. Yushu's leg had healed completely, and there were no side effects. She was just as confused as Lin Yi was, however, as to why Pingliang didn't come, and why was there no news from him at all. I'm not sure. Who knows what he's doing? But he's the one who stood me up, so it's not my fault. Lin, he shook his head, started the car, and drove towards the Shueshang district. What Lin he didn't expect was that there was someone standing in front of his villa, pacing back and forth. He didn't know what he was up to, but if it weren't for the familiarity of the silhouette, Lin he would have thought it was a thief with bad intentions. After pressing the horn twice, Lin he parked the car in the yard, and the person waiting at the door saw Lin Yi's car coming in and immediately followed. "You Dake." Lin he looked at the person, a little surprised. It was Yu Dake, the one from the hidden house of the right that wanted to commit suicide, the one he met at the hidden house summit. Chapter 2650. Normally, Lin he wouldn't remember a minor character's name, but since Yu Dake was Xiaoka's brother, Lin he naturally remembered his name. "Haha, Mr. Lin, you remember me." Yu Dake heard Lin he call out his name right away and was happy. It saved him the trouble of introducing himself. "Of course, but why are you here?" Lin he was curious why Yu Dake was here. Could be that Yu Panhu found out that Han Jingjing's tablet was a new one, and there were only notes in it? Did he send Yu Dake here to continue exchanging Han Jingjing's notes? "Mr. Lin, you saved me at the Hidden House Summit. I said I would repay you," Yu Dake said solemnly. "I've been looking for a chance to find you, Mr. Lin, but I haven't had the chance. You know that I can't leave easily while I'm in the hidden house." "Oh, it doesn't matter. I saved you at the right time, and because of my relationship with your sister, I'll naturally help you." Lin Yi said, "Let's not talk at the door. Let's talk inside." "Okay." Yu Dake nodded and entered the villa with Lin Yi, Meng Yao, and Yu Shu. Han Jingjing and Han Xiaoqiao went back to their own villa. After entering the living room, Yu Dake acted a little restrained and respectful towards Lin Yi. He stood there, not daring sit down. "Sit." Lin Yi didn't expect Yu Dake to be so nervous. He couldn't help but smile. "I'm very close with your sister. You don't have to be so polite." Lin Yi didn't act too close to Yu Dake at the Hidden House Summit because he didn't want people to see it. This time, however, Lin Yi's attitude was much better. Of course, this was also because Lin Yi and Xiaoka's relationship had gotten closer after what happened at the practitioner's market. "Okay, thank you, Mr. Lin." Yu Dake rubbed his hands and sat on the sofa. Meng Yao poured a glass of water for Yu Dake. "Lin Yi, this is? Who's his sister?" "Oh, I didn't tell you. This is Yu Dake, Yu Xiaoka's brother, but they were separated when they were young." Lin Yi introduced. "Currently, Yu Dake is a guest to the Hidden House Yu. When I first met him, it was at the Hidden Family Summit." "Ah, you're Xiaoka's brother," Yu Shu realized. "Then why did he say you saved him? What's going on? You're both Mr. Lin's wives, right?" "I'll explain it myself. It's like this." Yu Dake didn't wait for Lin Yi to speak before explaining the situation to Meng Yao and Yu Shu. Meng Yao was a little shy when Dake called her Mrs. Lin Yi, but she didn't refute it. Yu Shu accepted the title without hesitation. Yu Shu was furious after listening to Dake's story. "This hidden house Yu really is a piece of trash. You can't even bear to part with a few pills. It's fine, I'm their guest. I can only get paid if I do things for them, and if I don't, they have no obligation to give me pills." Yu Dake smiled bitterly. "Hidden House Yu has a lot of freelancers coming to join them. They don't need me." "Oh, then you said you're here to thank Shield Bro. How are you going to thank him?" Yu Shu asked. "Shield Bro?" Yu Dake paused, but he thought that it might be Lin Yi's nickname, so he didn't mind it. He said directly, "Mr. Lin, to be honest, I'm a freelancer, and I don't belong to any sections. You know that it's very difficult for freelancers to break through, and we're completely different from rich kids like you, Mr. Lin. We don't have a master to guide us, and we don't have resources. Those rich kids eat pills like candy, but we can't even get them with money. We can only figure out things we don't understand on our own, and we don't have a master to protect us when we break through. So everything is so difficult. Ugh. Wait, let me say this first. I'm also a freelancer." Lin, he shook his head with a bitter smile. In the eyes of outsiders, he was a rich kid? What a joke. But thinking about the strength and speed Lin he was showing now, it was normal for people to misunderstand. In fact, Lenny knew that what Udake was talking about was exactly what he had been suffering all these years. Sometimes, when he saw Zhao Qibing suddenly become an Earth-class master, Lin Yi really envied him. Although relying on pills to increase strength wasn't stable. If he didn't do proper training and support, he wouldn't be a match for those practitioners who leveled up step by step. First of all, there was a huge difference in battle experience. Comparing the two, it was like comparing two people with the same weight. One was fat, the other was muscular, and the two's combat ability was like heaven and earth. So even though Zhao Qibing had a body full of strength, he was like a person who didn't turn fat into muscle. His combat ability was far from the level of an Earth-class master, but this incredible speed of training still made Lin Yi envious. Although Lin Yi had two masters, both of them didn't teach him anything about training. One taught him assassination methods and the butterfly micro steps, which was comparable to the speed of a sky-class master, and the other taught him medicine and helped him train his physique. But in terms of training, Lin Yi still had to find his way forward by himself. The only person who knew a little bit could guide him was Jiao Yazi, Jiao Lao, who could be considered as half a master. Moreover, he was a person with incomplete memories, and he didn't know anything. This made Lin Yi feel incomparable pain. It could be said that Lin Yi's achievement today was completely based on his own hard work. Although he was famous in front of others and could intimidate the Sky-class masters, but how could others know the hardships he went through when he trained behind the scenes? 1 minute in front of the stage, 10 years of hard work behind the stage. Now, Lin Yi wasn't afraid to announce his identity as a freelancer because Lin Yi was gradually gaining control of the noble houses, and in the hidden noble houses, Lin Yi was also faintly dominating them. The only thing left was the ancient level. At this level, there was no meaning in pretending to have a mysterious background. Your strength was there, no use in pretending, unless you really had a master behind you who could really show up. Mr. Lin is also a freelancer? Udake looked at Lin Yi in shock. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Haha, of course. Lin Yi smiled and nodded. It can't be. Mr. Lin is now an Earth-class master at the peak of the middle phase, and he can even kill a Sky-class master in a second. How can he be a freelancer? I always thought that Mr. Lin had a master behind him to guide him. Udake didn't think that Lin Yi was lying to him, but he was just too shocked. Chapter 2651. Let's not talk about this first. Let's continue talking about your matter. Lin Yi waved his hand. He saw that the topic was getting out of hand, so he said, "Oh, okay." Udake nodded and said, "I went from the lowest level of cultivator all the way to the middle stage of the Earth class. Of course, I served the Yu family and was rewarded with some medicinal pellets and treasures for cultivation, but these are only a few. If I wasn't an early-stage Earth-class master, the Yu family wouldn't have accepted me. My early-stage Earth class didn't rely on medicinal pellets, nor did I rely on bitter cultivation. I relied on another way." "Another way?" Lin Yi was slightly stunned. "It's this thing." Udake took out a small antique box from his pocket and carefully opened it. He took out a small white stone and handed it to Lin Yi. "Mr. Lin, please take a look." "Oh, white energy stone." Lin Yi took the thing that Udake handed over and was slightly stunned, because the thing in Udake's hand was the same thing as the treasure that he and Sun Jingyi found in the Wulanhate mountain range. "Oh, Mr. Lin knows this thing?" Udake was stunned, but then he suddenly said, "No wonder. Mr. Lin should have this thing too. Otherwise, Mr. Lin's cultivation speed can't be so fast." "No, I have a friend who has one, but it has been used up." Lin Yi said, "Your piece should have been used up too, right? The treasure you gave me is this?" Lin Yi couldn't feel the chi fluctuations in this energy stone, so it should be the same as Sun Jingyi's. The energy inside was used up. What puzzled Lin Yi was why Udake gave him this thing. "That's not it. This piece of mine has been used, but I know a place where there should be some unused energy stones." Udake said, "Oh, there's actually a place that produces this kind of energy stone?" Lin Yi's heart stirred. Although this energy stone wasn't very useful to Lin Yi for the time being, it wasn't very useful to him. However, for other cultivators, it should be of some use. At the very least, they could sell it for a high price and exchange it for some good items. Therefore, Lin Yi was still very interested. Yes, all those years ago I obtained this small box in a cave, and there was an energy stone within the box. At the same time, there is also a treasure map. The location marked on the treasure map is said to have a lot of energy stones. Udake said, but I went there once, but I couldn't find it. That place is too big, and it's a boundless desert. I can't confirm the coordinates and location of the treasure map. So that's how it is? Lenny nodded. This is the treasure map you said you were going to give me? That's right. I know that this treasure map is somewhat illusory. If I can't find it, it's equivalent to a piece of waste paper, but it's the most important and precious thing I can take out. This is the only way. Udake spread his hands helplessly and smiled bitterly. This is also the only way I can repay you for saving my life. Hee. If that's the case, then it would be impolite of me to refuse. Lenny smiled and took the map that Udake handed over. He glanced at it and found that this map was very similar to the map in Sun Jingyi's hands. He didn't expect that these cultivators liked to draw unclear maps. They didn't mark the specific location and just drew a diagram. Then, he pointed out the location of the treasure on it. It's so simple? Yeah. Udake nodded and sighed. While I was looking for this map, I spent a lot of effort. I compared it with the satellite map on the internet. I analyzed it for half a year before I came to a specific conclusion. It's just that after I went there, I found that it was an endless desert. In the desert, there are no landmarks to speak of. I can't determine the location on this treasure map at all, unless I can fly high enough to see the whole picture of the desert. But the helicopter I took won't work. I compared the coordinates of the online map and used the satellite positioning system, but I didn't find anything. This map should be more than 1,000 years ago. Even the overall shape of the desert has changed greatly, so I'm not sure if the new coordinates that I've determined are the same as the previous coordinates. Even if there is an error of a few kilometers, I won't be able to find it. Lin Yi looked at the map and nodded in agreement. It was a little easier back in Wulenhate Mountains. The terrain there was still unique, and it wasn't exactly the same. There was also the highest point at the top of the mountain that could see the entire map. But the desert was different. Even if the shape of the desert was drawn, it was still difficult to determine the exact location in the boundless desert. Thanks, I'll accept this map. Lenny said, where is this desert? What's it called now? It didn't matter if they could find it or not. This treasure map was a token of Udake's sincerity, and he gave it to Lin Yi with a heart full of gratitude. Naturally, Lin Yi couldn't reject it. It was a little hard to find, but Lin Yi could go take a look when he had time. Wow, Shield Bro, let me see the treasure map. Yushu took the map from Lin Yi's hands and looked at it. But in an instant, Yushu's face changed slightly before returning to normal. This desert must be really hot. This desert is now called the Hakanamada Desert. It's uninhabited. It's really hot. It's said that there's a volcano at the end of the desert, and the desert is already dry and hot. If Mr. Lin is interested, I can bring you there. All the treasures we find will belong to Mr. Lin. I won't take anything. Udake said, of course, this kind of heat is still bearable for us practitioners. Of course, when Udake talked about the origin of the map and the location, he held back a little. But it wasn't something important. It was about Udake, and it didn't have much to do with Lin Yi or the treasure, so he didn't go into details. We'll talk about it later. Lin Yi remembered the name of the desert. As expected, it wasn't a common place. There probably weren't many adventurers or tourists. It was a very desolate place. Okay, Udake could tell that Lin, he didn't seem to be very interested. He didn't say anything else and only continued. Then, he stopped here and looked at Lin Yi as if he was hesitating about something. Chapter 2652. Why? Is there anything else? Lin Yi looked at Udake and asked, just say it, don't hesitate. It's like this. Mr. Lin, can you take me to see my sister? Although Udake said that he didn't want to disturb his sister's life, it was different now. After going back, Udake couldn't help but miss his sister. He even wanted to reunite with her as soon as possible. This time, he also wanted Lin Yi to take him to see his sister. That's why he hesitated. Of course, no problem. Lin Yi smiled, understanding Dake's feelings. He said that he didn't want to see it, but now that he knew about it, he'd think about it often. He wouldn't feel at ease if he didn't see it. Tomorrow morning, I've raised some money for her orphanage. I'll just send the check to her. Dake nodded. Okay, I'll send it to her tomorrow. Tomorrow? How about today? Dake asked carefully. I can't go out for too long. I'm afraid that the hidden house, you will be suspicious. If they know that I'm looking for Mr. Lin, they won't let me go easily. Today is fine too. Let's go now. Lin Yi stood up and said, Yao Shu, I'm going back to Songzhan. Do you have anything to do? The weather is getting colder. Can you help us find some winter clothes? Ming Yao thought about it and asked. Okay, I'll go first. Lin Yi said and left the villa with Dake. They got in the car and went straight to Songzhan. In fact, what Lin Yi didn't know was that there was another familiar person on the way to Songzhan. It was Tang Yuqi. Tang Yuqi came back from overseas to fulfill his father's wish. Tang Yuqi's father used to be from Songzhan, but because his family was poor, he was adopted by a rich family. Not long after, the family moved overseas. After so many years, Tang Yuqi's grandfather, who was also Tang Yuqi's father's adoptive father, passed away. Tang Yuqi's father was not young anymore. Old people like to return to their roots. Tang Yuqi's father still had a younger brother here. If he could find him, Tang Yuqi's father planned to come back. If he couldn't find him, he wouldn't know anyone after he came back. Naturally, it would be meaningless. Of course, whether he came back or not was secondary. The main thing was that he wanted to have a family. He was adopted, so he didn't have any relatives overseas. She felt a little lonely during Chinese New Year and always dreamed that her younger brother's family could also come overseas as guests. Therefore, Tang Yuqi took it very seriously. After staying overnight in Donghai City, he rented a car and headed to Songzhan. Lin Yi and Dake arrived at the Songzhan orphanage together. Xiaoqian welcomed them as soon as the car entered the courtyard. He was directing the unloading of the goods in the parking lot at the entrance of the orphanage. Naturally, he was happy to see Lin Yi. Lin Yi bro. Xiaoqian ran over quickly. Are you looking for Xiaoqa sis? Yes, is she here? Lin Yi asked. She is, but she should be in her dorm at this time. Just go find her. Okay, then go do what you need to do. I'll go find her. Lin Yi nodded and drove the car to the orphanage's staff dorm. Originally, Xiaoqa and the dean could have designed a big house in the orphanage, but both of them rejected Fatty Lie's design when he brought them the blueprint. They wanted to make all the dorms the same size. There were more and more children in the orphanage, and they needed to hire more staff to take care of them. The orphanage was private, and all the expenses had to be borne by the dean and Xiaoqa. Naturally, they wanted to save as much as they could and gave the extra room to the new staff. Lin Yi knew all the security guards in the orphanage, and he was the one who'd brought Dake with him. The two went up the stairs without any obstruction. My sister is still living in the orphanage? Dake didn't dare to ask along the way. He only knew that Xiaoqa was in the orphanage, and that Lin Yi had raised a large sum of money for the orphanage. He didn't know that Xiaoqa was in charge of the orphanage. Xiaoqa and the dean are in charge of the orphanage together. The child you saw just now is called Xiaoqian. He's Xiaoqa's assistant. Lin Yi explained. Your sister is working very hard. She worries about the children's livelihood every day. Don't underestimate the expenses of the orphanage. They spend money like water. Dake paused. There was a lot of information in Lin Yi's words. He needed to digest it carefully. You're saying that my sister is in charge of the entire operation of the orphanage, and she has to run around for the orphanage's expenses? Something like that. Lin Yi nodded. Our school helped raise more than 100 million this time. I don't know how long it'll last. 100 million won't last long? Dake's eyes widened. No way. How much can these children cost? Even if there are a few hundred of them, it'll only be a few 100,000 a month at most, right? You don't know how expensive food is. If it's just food, it might be enough, but there are more than a few hundred children here. Up until the last time I talked to Xiaoka, there were more than 10,000 orphans here. Most of them were born with congenital and acquired diseases. The treatment fee for these orphans is more than 100 times the cost of food. Lin Yi sighed. He felt that Xiaoka was working very hard. The orphanage had entered an endless cycle of expansion. More and more orphans with diseases were sent here. With Xiaoka's personality, she wouldn't reject them. She could only continue to expand the orphanage. Of course, Lin Yi could treat these sick orphans himself. However, Lin Yi's time and energy were limited. Treating an orphan might take a few hours or a few months. If he stayed in the orphanage, he could save a lot of money. However, it would delay Lin Yi's training. It wasn't practical. I see. After Udake heard this, he nodded. Obviously, he was silently calculating in his heart. Tens of thousands of children, and many of them were sick. This expenditure was definitely an astronomical figure. Chapter 2653. A hidden U family required tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of expenses every month. Although there was money to buy alchemy materials, how many people were there in the U family? Not to mention this orphanage. The two of them went upstairs together. Lin Yi stopped at the door of her room and knocked on it. Who is it? Not long after, Xiaoka's tired voice came from inside. On the other hand, Udake was very excited. His whole body was trembling. Although this voice was unfamiliar, it gave him an inexplicable sense of intimacy. It made him want to immediately push the door open and walk in. Lin Yi also saw Udake's reaction, patted him on the shoulder, gave him a comforting smile, and then said, Xiaoku, it's me. Xiaoka opened the door and frowned when she saw Lin Yi. Why are you here? Xiaoka. Udake was so excited that he automatically ignored Xiaoka's attitude towards Lin Yi. He was so nervous that he couldn't speak. Who are you? Xiaoka looked strangely at the excited big brother beside Lin. You know me? Of course I know you. You're my sister. Udake said excitedly. Although Xiaoka had grown up, she still looked the same as she did in the photo, so Udake was sure that this person in front of him was his long-lost sister. Lin Yi, you brought a psycho? Xiaoka looked at Lin Yi with black lines on her forehead. Just who is this person? Xiaoku, he's called Udake. He's your brother. Lin Yi was also embarrassed as he explained to Xiaoka. But it was no wonder, since Udake was older and could remember things from a young age. Xiaoka, on the other hand, was too young to remember anything about Udake. Udake? My brother? Xiaoka paused for a moment before answering. He looked at Udake suspiciously. In Xiaoka's memory, she did have a brother, but she didn't remember much at that time. She didn't remember much about her brother, but she remembered the name Udake. She did not tell anyone, not even the old director of the orphanage. This also meant that Lin Yi shouldn't have found a random person to deceive her. If he really wanted to deceive her, he would have made up a name called Udake instead of Udake. Yes, Xiaoka, you remember? Udake asked excitedly. No. Xiaoka shook her head. But I remember I have a brother, but I can't remember anything related to him. Come in first. Regardless of whether it was real or not, where did Lin Yi find it? Even Xiaoka couldn't reject him, but she was still suspicious of Dake's background. This was also a precaution against Lin Yi. Lin Yi's sudden visit at night, and he even brought someone who claimed to be her brother. Anyone would be suspicious of this. Lin Yi wanted to enter, but Xiaoka stopped him. She said calmly, I'm sorry, Lin Yi. I want to talk to him alone. Okay. Lin Yi didn't say much. He just nodded and stood at the door. Xiaoka was about to close the door. Although Udake felt that it wasn't good to shut Lin Yi outside, he thought that Xiaoka wanted to confirm something with him. However, he thought that Xiao wanted to confirm something with him and couldn't let an outsider be present. So he could only apologize to Lin. Mr. Lin, please wait for a moment. We'll let you in once we confirm your identity. Okay, it's fine. Lin Yi smiled. Xiaoka saw that Udake was so respectful to Lin Yi, and she was a little annoyed. Why was her brother acting like Lin Yi's lackey? In fact, Xiaoka was 80% sure of Udake's identity. After all, there weren't many people who knew her brother's name. After closing the door, Udake was a little excited and restrained. He didn't know if he should stand or sit. He looked at Xiaoka's room. Other than a bed, there was only a writing desk. There was only one chair in front of the writing desk. So, Udake either sat on the chair or the bed. There was no other place to sit. Please sit. Xiaoka took out a folding chair out of nowhere. She opened it and placed it in front of Udake. Then, she sat on the chair in front of the writing desk and stared at Udake. Are you really my brother? Xiaoka, I'm really your brother. Udake nodded with certainty. I know you might have doubts, but look at this picture first. Udake knew that thousands of words couldn't compare to a picture. Although the Photoshop technology was good, no matter how much they Photoshopped, it was impossible to recreate a person's appearance when they were young. Xiaoka looked at Dake as he took out an old-fashioned pocket watch and carefully passed it to her. This kind of thing wasn't common in modern society anymore. Xiaoka quickly took it and opened it. Huh. She was a little surprised. The girl in the picture was Xiaoka herself. Xiaoka didn't have this picture, but when she was young, the dean had taken a picture of her. Every child in the orphanage would have a picture of them when they first came to the orphanage. It wasn't for anything else, but it was so that when they grew up and looked for their parents, they would have a proof of what they looked like when they were young. Xiaoka had seen her own picture before, and she looked exactly the same as the girl in the picture. The angle of the two pictures were completely different, so it shouldn't be photoshopped then. The only explanation was that this person in front of her was really her brother. This is you and me? Xiaoka asked after a moment of silence. Yes, this is the only picture we had when we were young. It's also the proof that I've been looking for you all these years. Udake sighed, but because of some special reasons, I didn't dare to look for you openly. I'm sorry. No, it's not your fault. Are you really my brother? Xiaoka was confused. Although she knew that she had a brother, it was only in the depths of her memories. She didn't even have an impression of him. Now that he suddenly appeared in front of her, she couldn't accept it. Yes, if you don't believe me, there's a small red birthmark on your right foot, Udake said. Although I could remember things back then, I didn't remember much. This is all I remember. Chapter 2654. Xiaoka didn't suspect anything anymore. She did have a red birthmark on her right foot, and it was very small. Even the dean didn't notice it, and she didn't mention it to anyone else. He didn't know about it, and this person in front of her knew about it. He must be her brother. Xiaoka had been an orphan since young, and now that she had a brother, she was both happy and nervous. She raised her head and looked at Udake, but it wasn't easy for her to call him brother. Xiaoka, I know you still have doubts, but medical technology is so advanced now. We just need to do a DNA test to prove our relationship. If you don't believe me, we can do it tomorrow, Udake said nervously. Bro. Xiaoka couldn't hold back the excitement in her heart after hearing Dake's words. The word bro came out of her mouth, and her tears fell down. Although she had the old dean's care and the orphanage's children's company, the loneliness of not having a family was especially obvious during the holidays. Xiaoka didn't think that she would finally have a big brother. Sister. Udake heard Xiaoka call him and was extremely excited. You believe me? Actually, I believed you from the start. Xiaoka sighed. It's just that it was too sudden and I couldn't accept it. Now that I've calmed down, I'm very happy. Yes, I'm very happy too. Udake nodded heavily. Tell me about my childhood. Yu Xiao laughed. What about our parents? When we were young, our parents. Udake was silent. He wanted to say something, but stopped himself. What's wrong? Xiaoka asked curiously after seeing Dake's expression. There are some things that I don't want you to know. I can bear it myself, and I don't want to burden you. Udake sighed. I've heard from Mr. Lin that you've shouldered too many responsibilities and burdens for the orphanage. Could it be that our parents were... Xiaoka was smart, and she'd seen many orphans who'd had their families annihilated, so it was easy for her to link it to herself. This, Udake sighed helplessly. I didn't want to say it first, but I didn't expect you to guess it. Yes, our parents were killed by our enemies, and you and I are lucky to be alive. But my strength is not enough to take revenge, and I don't want you to live in hatred. You just need to understand these things. There's no need to know too much. Okay. Xiaoka nodded. Since Udake didn't want to talk about it, she wouldn't ask. Her feelings for her parents were much weaker than Udake's, and she didn't have much of an impression of them. Her relationship with the headmaster was even deeper. Then how did you and Linny meet? Xiaoko was worried about her brother's relationship with Lin Yi. She knew that Lin Yi was plotting against her, but she couldn't do anything about it. She could only accept it and accept it. Now that her brother was with Lin Yi, and he seemed to listen to Lin Yi, Xiaoko was worried. In fact, Xiaoko was grateful to Lin Yi from the bottom of her heart. If it wasn't for him, she would have to reject all the abandoned babies from all over the country. Xiaoko understood that even if she didn't take them in, other orphanages would take them in, but how many orphanages could afford the expensive treatment? If the treatment was cheap, the parents wouldn't be so cruel as to abandon them. Xiaoko knew that it wouldn't be good for her to keep accepting Lin Yi's help. She might even be forced to do something that would betray the male thief, but she had no other choice. Sometimes life was like this. Things wouldn't always go according to one's wishes. Xiaoko couldn't help but sigh as she thought about her future with the male thief. Dake didn't notice Xiaoko's helpless expression. He was happily talking about how he got injured at the Hidden House Summit and how Lin Yi saved him. He was filled with gratitude towards Lin. Xiaoko, Mr. Lin is a good person. It's rare to see a good person like him these days. Not only did he help me recover, he's also helping you with the orphanage. He's our savior. As the saying goes, when you receive a drop of kindness from someone, you must repay it with a fountain. So, us siblings must remember this kindness in our hearts for the rest of our lives. No matter what Mr. Lin asks of us, we must do our best. If we can do it, we must do it. Xiaoko listened to her brother's words, and her heart was in a mess. She lowered her head silently, not knowing how to answer her brother. Yes, Lin Yi saved her brother, and he supported the orphanage so much. He didn't owe her anything, but she and her brother owed him. But even so, she didn't have to repay him with her body, did she? If it were any other way, Xiaoko would nod without hesitation, but now, looking at her brother, praising Lin Yi non-stop, Xiaoko was a little annoyed. Her hatred for Lin Yi surged up once more. What was it that couldn't be said face to face? Why did she have to get her brother to be a lobbyist? Let her brother keep praising him in front of her, and then she fell for him? What made Xiaoko angry was that Lin Yi clearly liked her, but he didn't admit it. Xiaoko knew Lin Yi's personality a little. He wasn't a very warm-hearted person. Was he an idiot? Why would he keep helping the orphanage? Most of his company's profits went to the orphanage, and yet he was still helping the orphanage every day. Xiaoko really didn't believe that Lin Yi just wanted to help her. It wasn't realistic. Who? Xiaoko didn't want to listen anymore, so she raised her head and changed the topic. Brother, are you married? Me? Of course not. Dake shook his head. When I told you about the Hidden House Summit, you didn't seem to have many questions. You know about the practitioners and the hidden houses? Chapter 2655. What? You're a practitioner too. Outer Sect. Oh, Outer Sect is good. Outer Sect is good. Dake let out a breath of relief. But at the same time, he was shocked. Although he was from a hidden house, he was just a small follower. It wasn't realistic for him to go against the young master of the hidden house, Zhao. You're saying that your orphanage offended the hidden house, Zhao? It's fine. It was Lin Yi who took care of it. Not only did he compensate us with a piece of land, he also gave us a lot of money. Xiaoko sighed. Xiaoko sighed and said, as for what Dake said before, she didn't care and directly ignored it. Yes, those hidden houses are all afraid of Mr. Lin, including our hidden house. We don't dare to do anything rash. But Mr. Lin really is a good person. Dake sighed. Sis, do you have a boyfriend? You're not young anymore. Xiaoko didn't know what to say. Did she have a boyfriend? She didn't think so. The male thief didn't respond to her directly, so they were just normal friends. He said that he had a girlfriend, and she didn't know if she still had a chance. So you don't have one either? But that's true. You're busy with the orphanage every day. You don't have time to date. Dake misunderstood, thinking that Xiaoko was too shy to talk about it. After all, she was a girl of her age, and it was fine if she was in university, but it was rare that she didn't have a boyfriend. Yeah, Xiaoko nodded. Dake was right. Xiaoko didn't have the time to be in a relationship, and even with the male thief, it was a coincidence that they met. She didn't push for anything. I think Mr. Lin is pretty good. Why don't you try harder? Dake's eyes lit up. Mr. Lin is helping you for free. I think he might be interested in you. Linny, he has a few girlfriends already, and he doesn't like me either. Xiaoka's face darkened. She had finally changed the topic, but it came back again. It doesn't matter if he has a few girlfriends. It's a normal thing in the cultivation world. I think Mr. Lin is pretty good. He's a genius, and I heard that he can kill Sky-class masters in 1 second. If you follow him, you won't lose anything. Dake's sudden decision was not the kind of unreliable thinking, but he had his own deep meaning. He had to get his revenge sooner or later, and if he failed, he might even drag his sister down with him. He wanted his sister to follow Lin Yi because he wanted her to have a strong backer. At least the hidden world was afraid of Lin Yi now. And who could say that the ancient world wouldn't act according to Lin Yi's whims? If his sister followed Lin Yi now, there would be fewer obstacles for him to get his revenge. It would be better with Lin Yi's help, but without Lin Yi's help, Dake wouldn't have any worries. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said something like this so carelessly. In the cultivation world, it was normal to have multiple wives and concubines. For example, the young master of the hidden house, Yu Jintian, had quite a few women, but this wasn't anything new in the hidden house. However, as a brother, Dake didn't want his sister to be someone else's concubine. It was just that this person was Lin Yi, and Dake could accept it. For his sister to have a lifetime of peace, that was why he persuaded her to follow Lin Yi. Xiaoka thought. As expected, her brother was bought over by Lin Yi somehow, and he came here to be his lobbyist. Could it be that Lin Yi wanted her to take the initiative to express her feelings? He wanted her to confess to him? Xiaoka got angrier the more she listened. It's fine if you like me, but you want me to confess to you? What was this, even asking my brother come here? Sis, just think about it. Mr. Lin is a good person, and if you miss this opportunity, you won't get another one. Dake saw that Xiaoka was silent and thought that she was moved, so he quickly added more strength. Bro, Xiaoka took a deep breath and decided to tell the truth. She wanted to make this clear to her brother. Otherwise, if her brother talked about this every time he came to see her, she would feel annoyed. Dake was startled by Xiaoka's interruption. What's wrong? Bro, actually, I have someone I like. Xiaoka gathered her courage and said, Someone you like? Dake paused and felt a little awkward. He realized that he misunderstood her meaning and messed up the matchmaking process. Luckily, Lin Yi wasn't here, so there was nothing between them. Otherwise, they wouldn't know what to do. Yes, but it's not Lin Yi, Xiaoka said. He's a very caring and attentive man. Oh, then he is. Dake was curious. After all, this was related to his sister's marriage, so naturally, he was very attentive. Tell me? And Xiaoka nodded and started talking about her story with the male thief. She'd always wanted to talk to someone, but in the orphanage, the only people she could talk to were the dean and Xiaoqian. Now that she had a brother, she couldn't wait to tell him everything that had happened in the past few years. Speaking of which, it was strange. This was an innate blood relationship. Although Dake didn't look like her at all, Xiaoka was sure that he was her brother. This feeling grew stronger the longer she stayed with Dake. So that's how it is. Dake listened to all the dangers in the tomb, Xiaoka's bravery in the execution field, and the meeting at the auction. It was a soul-stirring story. You guys haven't known each other for a long time, but so many things have happened. No wonder you like him so much. Xiaoka didn't say which tomb it was, and she didn't say in detail, so Dake didn't connect it to Zhang Liju's tomb. He didn't connect it to Lin either. He was just a follower, and his status wasn't high. Even if he heard rumors about Lin, it was mostly about how Lin Yi killed Sky-class warriors instantly. He didn't know much about the details. Chapter 2656. Brother, you're being a busybody. Forget it. It's a good thing Mr. Lin wasn't here. If he was, it'd be awkward. Dake waved his hand. Brother, you're saying that it wasn't Lin Yi who asked you to tell me? Xiaoka paused, thinking that she was mistaken. No. Why did Mr. Lin ask me to tell you? Udake paused as well, confused. Actually, it's like this. Xiaoka told Udake about how Lin Yi helped her time and time again, and how most of Lin Yi's company's profits were invested into the construction of the orphanage. Brother, if Lin Yi doesn't have feelings for me, I really don't know what he's after. Could it be that he just wants to help me? Udake went silent. Yeah, he wasn't a little kid who had just entered society. These years in the Hidden Right house, he'd seen too many exchanges of benefits. Naturally, he understood Xiaoka's concerns. Plus, he knew that Lin Yi saved him because Lin Yi wanted to plant a spy in the Hidden Right house. It was just that Lin Yi's strength had exploded, and he didn't need this spy anymore. No matter what, Udake was grateful to Lin Yi for saving his life, and he didn't care if it was a spy or not. But his sister was right. Lin Yi was too good to the orphanage, too good to the point that it could be described as too good. The only thing that could make Lin Yi scheme was Xiaoka's beauty. Otherwise, why would Lin Yi do it? Was it just to show his love? But there were many ways to show love. There was more than one orphanage nearby. There was one in Donghai, too. Even if it wasn't as big as Xiaoka's, he'd never heard of Lin Yi donating to the orphanage. Brother, tell me, what should I do? Xiaoka was a little lost. Actually, I should repay him with my body, but I have someone else in my heart. Even if I force myself to be with him, I can't guarantee that my body won't cheat, but I can't guarantee that my mind won't cheat. Rather than being unhappy, why not? Xiaoka was a little lost. She didn't know what to say. Then why didn't you clarify things with Mr. Lin? Udake asked. Mr. Lin should be a reasonable person, right? You won't force others against their will, right? I did, but he didn't admit it. He said he didn't like me. What else could I say? Xiaoka smiled bitterly. But, brother, do you believe it? He's only doing this to help me without asking for anything in return. Moreover, he brought you to see me. I guess this is also the reason. I guess he knows that I have someone else in my heart, so he wants to use this method to move me bit by bit so that I will take the initiative to be with him. That's all I can think of. Man, forget it. If that's the case, I'll talk to Mr. Lin later. I hope he can understand. Udake was helpless, but there was nothing he could do. He didn't want his sister to be unhappy. There were many ways to repay Lin Yi. Marrying him was one, but it wasn't the only way. Udake thought that if he could get his revenge, he'd be Lin Yi's lackey. And Xiaoka heard her brother's words and nodded happily. Brother, you're the best. Originally, I wanted Mr. Lin to protect you for the rest of your life, but it seems like it won't work now. Udake lowered his voice. But it's not like there's no other way. In our family, there's a secret art passed down from generation to generation. It's in my hands, and when I bring it to you next time, your bloodline will be able to cultivate as well. At that time, you'll have to cultivate to protect yourself. Although the process will be painful, I need you to have the ability to protect yourself. Xiaoka's eyes widened. She didn't think that her family would have a secret art passed down from generation to generation. But you must secretly cultivate this art. Before you master it, you must not show it to others, in case you get into trouble. Back then, it was because of this art that our family went through a huge change. Udake said carefully, Xiaoka, do you understand? I understand. Xiaoka nodded solemnly. Her breathing was rapid, and her heart was beating fast. She didn't think that her family's secret art would be this important. How powerful was it to be able to bring about trouble? At the same time, Xiaoka was relaxed and happy. If her strength increased by leaps and bounds, would she be able to fly together with the male thief? When she had strength, the way to repay Lin Yi would be to work for him instead of selling her body. Remember, don't tell anyone about this, not even your master. Udake solemnly said, Fortunately, you've only cultivated external martial arts and not internal mental cultivation methods. Otherwise, if you had cultivated other internal mental cultivation methods, you wouldn't be able to cultivate this in. Xiaoka thought that she was lucky. She just remembered why her brother said that she didn't practice spiritual arts, and that it would be better to practice physical arts. So this was the reason. In actuality, the headmaster of the orphanage had spiritual arts as well, but she didn't give it to Xiaoka to practice. She was afraid that Xiaoka's enemies would find out and come after her. After all, Xiaoka often went out and showed herself, and the chances of her being exposed was much higher than the headmaster herself. So, she only taught Xiaoka Qinggong, and it was a good thing for her. All right, we siblings have talked enough. Mr. Lin is still waiting outside. Let's hurry and let him in. Yudake said. Okay. Xiaoka's mood was much better. First, she had a powerful art to practice, and second, her brother promised to tell Lin Yi about her situation. So, she didn't look as gloomy as before. Lin Yi was a gentleman. When Yudake and Xiaoka were talking, he didn't eavesdrop. Instead, he stood at the end of the hallway and looked at the night view. When he heard the door open, Lin Yi turned around and walked over. Finished. Mr. Lin, sorry, it's been a bit long. You didn't wait too long, right? Yudake said apologetically. It's fine. You siblings haven't seen each other for a long time. Naturally, you have a lot of things to talk about. It's already very fast. Lin Yi smiled. I was even preparing to practice on the floor. That's good. Mr. Lin, please come in. Yudake made a welcoming gesture, letting Lin Yi into the room. He only had a good impression of her, but after Xiaoka went to the execution field, Lin Yi developed feelings for her. Also, at the market, Xiaoka was in Lin Yi's heart, so it would be a joke if he said he didn't like Xiaoka. But to say that he liked her, which identity did he have? Seeing that Lin Yi didn't answer, Yudake was even more convinced. He quickly continued, Mr. Lin, actually, my sister has someone she likes. If you like her, then, I know that you are our savior. But feelings can't be forced. We will repay you in other ways. And? Someone you like? Who is it? Lin Yi asked subconsciously. He didn't think that Xiaoka would have a change of heart so quickly. It's someone called the male thief. Yudake said, in my sister's heart, she has fallen deeply in love with this person, Suft. Cough, cough. Lin Yi realized that he'd been too worried. Thinking about it, the male thief and Lin Yi were two different people to Xiaoka, and while Lin Yi knew about their identities, Xiaoka didn't. It seemed like she'd misunderstood him because he'd been too nice to her, and that was why she'd asked Yudake to be her mediator. Lin Yi didn't know what to do, but at the same time, he felt that it was funny. He wanted to use Lin Yi's identity to tease Xiaoka. If it was before, Lin Yi wouldn't do something so boring, but now that he had feelings for Xiaoka, he didn't mind joking around with her. What's wrong, Mr. Lin? Yudake jumped when he saw Lin Yi coughing. He thought that Lin Yi was hurt. He quickly said, Mr. Lin, I didn't mean to hurt you. I just wanted to say that it's better to get the pain over with, huh? Lin Yi laughed after he finished coughing. He looked at Yudake strangely. Who said I'm hurt? I just think, it's nothing. That male thief isn't as strong as me. At most, he's as strong as me. I still have a chance. Yudake felt helpless when he saw how stubborn Lin Yi was, but he didn't want to push it too far. After all, Lin Yi was his savior, and it wouldn't be good if he said it again. You don't have to worry about this. I don't want you to get involved. Although you're Xiaoka's brother, we just met. Lin Yi looked at Yudake. Okay. What else could Yudake say? He nodded reluctantly. Since Lin Yi said so, it would be rude of him to interfere. It seemed like he could only let Lin Yi and Xiaoka solve it themselves. He reminded, Xiaoka said that if you insist, Mr. Lin, she might cheat on you even if she's with you. What? Lin Yi was shocked. She means she's cheating on me mentally. Yudake added, oh, you like male thieves, right? It's fine, I don't mind. Lin Yi nodded. Actually, it's fine even if she cheats on me physically, I don't mind. Chapter 2658. The car slowly drove into Seaview Bay, and Lin Yi stopped the car in front of House Chu's villa. He got off the car and said to Yudake, wait here for me. I'll go get some clothes. All right, Mr. Lin, go ahead. Yudake said, but he was still trying to figure out what Lin Yi's words meant. What did he mean by cheating on a male thief with her body? He didn't care? Did he really not care? Did he care too much about Xiaoka to care about these things? Or did he not care about Xiaoka at all and want to treat her as a toy? The more Yudake thought about it, the more conflicted he got. He was even more conflicted than Xiaoka. If Lin Yi knew that he would be conflicted like this, Lin Yi wouldn't have teased him. Whether he cared or not, Lin Yi wouldn't make himself a cuckold. But others didn't know, but Lenny knew. Lin E and the male thief. What was the difference? Lenny got off the car and entered the villa. Looking at the familiar scene, Lin E was filled with emotions. Lin E went upstairs and went to Meng Yao and Yushu's room. This used to be Lin Yi's forbidden area, but Lin E didn't know when it started, but the two's room was open to Lin E, and it was like walking on flat ground. He grabbed a suitcase and started packing Meng Yao and Yushu's winter clothes into it. There were way too many clothes for the two of them, however, and he could only choose according to his taste. He went downstairs to his room after packing the clothes for Meng Yao and Yushu. Lin E didn't have many clothes, only a cotton leather jacket, which Faubert bought for him when he first came here. This was the first winter Lin E came here, and he didn't buy any clothes, so it was convenient. He opened the wardrobe, took out his cotton leather jacket, and put on the top of the suitcase. However, when Lin E took out the leather jacket, he took out a tattered school uniform from the wardrobe. Lin E picked up the tattered school uniform with some doubts, but he had no impression of it at all. When did he throw the tattered school uniform in the closet? Why didn't they throw away this tattered uniform? Why did they leave it here? However, when Lin E picked up the torn school uniform and examined it carefully, he realized that this school uniform was actually a girl's school uniform. Could it be Yao Yao or Shu? But why did Yao Yao and Shu put the uniform here? Or did he put it there himself? Did he have a habit of collecting school uniforms? Lin E couldn't figure it out. He couldn't figure out where this uniform came from. Since he couldn't remember where this uniform came from, Lin E didn't dare throw it away. He put it back in the wardrobe and planned to ask Yao Yao and Shu if they knew where this uniform came from. He put the uniform back, but there was a familiar smell in his hands. It came from that uniform, but Lin E felt that it wasn't the Miss or Shu's smell. Even if they used perfume, it wouldn't smell like this. As for Wang Xinyan, Lin E didn't think that he had the chance to get her uniform in high school, right? Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, didn't even wear a school uniform. She was one of the big four in school, and she didn't even wear a school uniform to school. Lin E shook his head. Since he couldn't think of anything right now, he decided not to think about it. He packed his things and left the villa, putting his suitcase in the trunk before getting in the car and heading back to Donghai. Dake left that night, going back to the Hidden Right house and exchanging contact numbers with Lin E. He said that he would contact him when he had time. He was very regretful that he wasn't able to help Xiaoka, but there was nothing he could do. On one side was his savior, and on the other side was his sister. He couldn't force anything. Meng Yao and Yushu weren't asleep yet. Seeing Lin E come back, the miss, who was watching cartoons on the sofa, walked over and took the suitcase from Lin E. Lin E, you're back. Thank you. Haha, you're welcome. Lin E smiled. The leather jacket on top is mine, and the rest are yours and Shu's. Oh, right, there's a thing. In my closet, there's a torn girl's uniform. Is it yours? Meng Yao paused, confused. What girl's uniform? It's our Songshan's uniform, but it's torn. It seems like you purposely kept it? Lin E said. You kept it? Meng Yao was even more confused. She looked at Lin E up and down. She didn't think that Lin E had the hobby of collecting other people's uniforms. I don't know if it's me. I don't remember. Lin E said, feeling a little weirded out. It wasn't a big deal, but he wanted to get to the bottom of it and get to the bottom of it. Then, Meng Yao was about to say something when she raised her head to see Yushu standing behind Lin E, blinking at her furiously. Meng Yao froze as she thought of a possibility. Oh, I think that's my uniform. I threw it in the villa before you moved in. Yours? Lin E looked at Meng Yao, suspicious. Yours. If it's torn, why didn't you throw it away? Oh, it's a uniform I like, so I kept it. Meng Yao said. You? A uniform you like? Lin E was even more puzzled. Since when did the miss like uniforms? And why did she keep it when it was torn? As the chairman of Pengzhan's first school, he could have as many uniforms as he wanted. Why would she keep a torn uniform? Oh, Shield bro, what's up with you today? Why are you so fixated on a uniform? What's there to be surprised about? Yushu came out to mess things up. Oh, Shu knows. Is Shield bro trying to use the school uniform to do some flirting with to find out who he's fantasizing about? Lin Yi's face reddened at Yushu's words. He remembered how Yushu had caught him in the act when he first came to the villa. He coughed twice, realizing that he was being a little weird today. What was he doing with a torn uniform? Chapter 2659. However, the forgetfulness herb was targeted at those in Snowy Valley. Since they came to Snowy Valley, they wouldn't be able to come into contact with the things of the past, so there wouldn't be this problem. However, it wasn't the same for Lin Yi. Lin Yi was still living in the same place, but Tang Yin wasn't there anymore, so his memories would often be messed up. It's fine, I was just asking. Lin Yi shook his head and didn't dwell on this topic. Meng Yao and Yushu let out a sigh of relief, afraid that Lin Yi would think of something else. However, these few things made them more and more worried. They didn't know if Lin Yi would come into contact with more things related to Tang Yin. If so, what would they do then? They didn't know how Tang Yin was doing. Meng Yao and Yushu missed her very much, but they knew that Tang Yin couldn't call them easily, and they couldn't go to Snowy Valley to visit Tang Yin, so they couldn't tell Lin Yi. The two of them went upstairs, both a little worried. Shu, your idea isn't working. Didn't you say that if you found a big wife for Lin Yi, he wouldn't miss Tang Yin anymore? Now that he's found a big wife, he still misses her. Meng Yao said helplessly, if I knew that, I wouldn't have found one for him. Ugh. It must be because Xinyan sis hasn't agreed to be the big wife yet. It'll be fine after she agrees. Yushu said, Yao sis, are you jealous? Are you regretting it? If you knew that you would get the big wife, would you? Ahem. What does it have to do with me? I don't think Wang Xinyan is bad. Meng Yao shook her head. I'm just saying, Wang Xinyan can help Lin Yi. We can't let outsiders take advantage of her. Yeah, but Yao sis' position as the big wife is going to be taken away. Yushu said, what big wife? Don't drag me into this. What should we do about Tang Yin first? Meng Yao ignored Yushu's question. Yao sis has a guilty conscience, Yushu pouted. Yushu pouted, but seeing that Meng Yao didn't want to talk about this topic, she could only say, why don't we ask Tang Yin sis? How? Meng Yao asked. Why don't we let Kong Xiaobo and Xiao Fa make a trip to Snow Valley? We can't go, but they can? Yushu suggested. Sure, let them see how Tang Yin is doing. I miss her a lot. Meng Yao's personality was like this. She used to fight with Tang Yin all the time, but now that their relationship was better, she missed Tang Yin a lot. Yeah, I'll give Kong Xiaobo a call then. Yushu said as she picked up the phone. Kong Xiaobo didn't expect that Yushu would ask him to visit Tang Yin. This was a pleasant surprise, because Xiao Fun and Lu Xinwen mentioned that they wanted to visit Tang Yin when they came to the company, but Kong Xiaobo didn't know how to explain it to Lin Yi. After all, he was the vice president of the medicine company now. He couldn't just leave for a vacation for no reason, right? Even if he wanted to go for a vacation, he had to tell Lin Yi first. Plus, he just went for a vacation with Xiao Fun last summer. Taking another vacation in such a short time? It wasn't realistic, so Xiao Fun and Lu Xinwen's suggestion could only be put aside for now. Now that Yushu asked him to visit Tang Yin and said that she could solve the problem on Lin Yi's side, Kong Xiaobo was naturally very happy and immediately agreed. On the other hand, the reason Yushu gave to Lin Yi was very simple. Didn't she have a high fever often? She needed a kind of herb, and this herb had to be bought from a medicine merchant personally. This merchant was recommended by Wang Xinyan's father, so it was very reliable. This merchant also had a lot of wholesale herbs, so she asked Kong Xiaobo, the vice president of the medicine company, to go and buy the herbs Shu needed. As for the other herbs, if they were cheap, he would buy them together. Although Lin Yi was a little curious as to how Yushu knew that she needed the herb, Yushu often did unexpected things, so Lin Yi didn't find it strange. Yushu didn't say anything, so he didn't ask. It was Wang Xinyan's father who recommended it, so it shouldn't be a problem. This also involved Wang Xinyan, but after Wang Xinyan knew about it, she was willing to help. However, she was troubled because Meng Yao wanted her to be the first wife to replace Tang Yin. She really couldn't do it. Tang Yin couldn't meet Lin Yi because of the ancient sect, and she was the same. Because of Kong Ming Ming's identity in the Sky Elixir sect, she couldn't be with Lin Yi openly. It would also hurt Lin Yi. So, Wang Xinyan was troubled. Should she confess to Meng Yao? Should she tell Meng Yao about her difficulties? But no matter what, Kong Xiaobo brought Xiaofan and Lu Xinwen to Snowy Valley, and Kong Xiaobo went with Yushu's mission. He had a lot of questions to ask her. The happiest ones were Xiaofan and Lu Xinwen. The two were Tang Yun's childhood friends. Now that Tang Yun was gone, they missed her very much. They were very excited to be able to visit Tang Yun. Early in the morning, an overseas detective came to Songshan's police station. Because Tang Yuqi was very famous overseas, there were people in the police station who knew about Tang Yuqi's name. They had seen some cases that Tang Yuqi solved on TV, so they respected him. So when he suddenly came to Songshan's police station, everyone was surprised. They thought that he was investigating some case. However, when Tang Yuqi explained his purpose, everyone was shocked. They didn't think that the famous detective Tang Yuqi's hometown was in Songshan. He came here to look for his uncle, Tang Juqing. This name sounds familiar. I remember now. Captain Song was in charge of case before. It's his family. The person who spoke was the new captain of the Criminal Investigation Department. He used to work under Ling Shan, and his surname was Zhang. Oh. A case happened in his family? Tang Yuqi's face changed. He asked worriedly, "What happened?" Tang Yuqi was a detective. He knew that a case that the Criminal Investigation Department was in charge of was not a small case. He was worried that something big had happened. Chapter 2660. I see. Tang Yuqi breathed a sigh of relief. Tang Juqing's daughter was his cousin. It was good that she was fine. Captain Zhang naturally knew the whole story of the case, but there were some details that he couldn't tell Tang Yuqi. This involved Lin, Yi, and Zhao Qibing, so it wasn't appropriate for him to say too much. Now, Tang Juqing has moved. I'll ask the police to help you find his new address. You can visit him. Okay, thank you, Tang Yuqi quickly said. Soon, Tang Juqing's new address was found. When his family came to move their residence, they moved to the new address, Changxiang Garden, the area developed by Fatty Lai. Tang Yuqi didn't waste any time and went to Changxiang Garden in a rented car. He knocked on Tang Juqing's door according to the house number provided by Captain Zhang. However, no one came out to open the door after a long time. Just when Tang Juqing thought that the person in the house had left and was about to wait outside, he knocked on the neighbor's door. Who are you looking for? An old man came out from the room next door and looked at Tang Yuqi cautiously. Hello, old man. Is this Tang Juqing's house? Tang Yuqi asked with a smile. Yes, you're looking for him? The old man didn't let his guard down and was ready to ring the alarm to call the security. Who are you? Hello, sir. My name is Tang Yuqi. I'm from overseas, and I'm Tang Juqing's nephew. I just came from the police station, and someone from the police station gave me my second uncle's address. Tang Yuqi introduced himself. Oh, so you're Juqing's nephew. The old man heard that Tang Yuqi got the address from the police station and sighed in relief. It's like this, you're late. Tang Juqing's family has moved away. Moved away? Didn't they just move here not long ago? Tang Yuqi was confused. Tang Juqing's family had just moved here not long ago, and this area was newly built. There was no reason for them to move away right after they moved here. They just moved here. But I don't know the details, but I saw Tang Juqing and his wife's family packing their luggage and left in a car. They haven't been back since, the old man said. Out of town. He never came back. Tang Yuqi suddenly felt that he was late and quickly asked. Yes, after he left. After that, there was no news of him and he never came back. The old neighbor nodded. When did they leave? Sir, do you know? Tang Yuqi quickly asked. Probably around July or August. If you want to find them, you'd better ask someone who is familiar with their family. I don't know anything else, said the old neighbor. Okay, sir, I'll have to trouble you. I'll go to the police station and ask. Tang Yuqi didn't know anyone here, so he was completely in the dark. He didn't know who Tang Juqing's family usually interacted with. He could only go to the police station and ask for more information. After leaving the Changxiang home community, Tang Yuqi returned to the police station again. He found Captain Zhang and told him about the trouble he encountered in detail. The whole family moved away. Captain Zhang was also stunned. He immediately asked the household registration police and said to Tang Yuqi, "We don't have any news here." They probably didn't move. Maybe they went to a friend or relative's house. Should be. Captain Zhang. Do you know who is more familiar with my second uncle's family? Because his family just moved to this community. They aren't familiar with the neighbors. Tang Yuqi said. His family is quite familiar with our old captain, Captain Song. Why don't you ask Captain Song? Captain Zhang thought about it and suggested, the slums have been demolished, but the new community hasn't been built yet. The people who moved back haven't moved back yet. They're all renting houses outside. I don't know who is closer to their family, so it'll be difficult to find them one by one. How about this? You can ask Captain Song and see if you can get any information. Okay, then I'll trouble Captain Zhang to introduce me to them. Tang Yuqi nodded. Captain Zhang called Lingshan and told her about Tang Yuqi's situation. He wanted to tell her over the phone, but Tang Yuqi didn't have anything to do, and Songshan wasn't too far from Donghai, so he went to Donghai personally. Lingshan didn't show anything on the phone, only saying that she would try her best to help Tang Yuqi. But after hanging up, Lingshan fell in a deep thought. Tang Yun's training in Shuigu was a secret. Lingshan knew about it, but she couldn't tell Tang Yuqi so easily. Even if Tang Yuqi was Tang Juqing's nephew, Tang Yun's cousin, this involved a lot of trouble, especially Lin Yi. Would Tang Yuqi's appearance involve Lin Yi? So Lingshan was hesitating whether or not she should tell Tang Yuqi the truth. Just when Lingshan was hesitating, Tang Yuqi came to the police station in Donghai and met Lingshan. Lingshan's beauty brightened Tang Yuqi's eyes. He didn't expect this policewoman to be so valiant and charming. Tang Yuqi was an authentic Chinese, and his aesthetics were also Eastern. He didn't have a girlfriend when he was overseas, and he hadn't met anyone suitable either. He didn't think that he would meet a girl in Donghai that could move him. Hello, Miss Song. I'm Tang Yuqi. Captain Zhang from Songshan's police station introduced me to you. Tang Yuqi said politely, but he didn't call Lingshan as formal as before. He called her Miss Song. Hello, Mr. Tang. Lingshan didn't mind how Tang Yuqi called her. She thought that he was from overseas and was used to calling young ladies that. Mr. Tang, are you looking for Tang Juqing's family? Yes, Miss Song. I heard from Captain Zhang that you have a good relationship with my second uncle's family. You were also in charge of my cousin's case. Is that true? Tang Yuqi asked. That's true, but I'm not that close with Tang Juqing's family. I was transferred to Donghai after that, and I haven't been in contact with them since, Lingshan said. Miss Song, as far as I know, when my second uncle's family moved, you weren't in Donghai yet, right? So please think about it. My second uncle's family moved in July or August. Do you have any impression of that? Tang Yuqi was a detective, and he paid attention to the details. He wasn't trying to refute Lingshan on purpose, but he just said it. Chapter 2661. Especially since Tang Yun going to Shuigu was a secret. Without Ming Yao's permission, she couldn't tell Tang Yuqi. This was beyond her job scope, and she couldn't help Tang Yuqi at all. They left in July or August, right? I didn't pay attention to that. I thought they left recently. Is that so? Tang Yuqi's sensitivity as a detective told him that Lingshan was hiding something from him, as if she was hiding something from him. Naturally, but I can help you ask around. I have a friend who's pretty close to Tang Yun. I'll see if she knows anything. Lingshan didn't say anything definite. She wanted to ask Ming Yao first. Oh, if that's the case, can you introduce me to this friend so that we can pay a visit together? Tang Yuqi's eyes lit up after listening, and he quickly asked. I'm afraid not. I can't reveal her identity before this friend agrees. Lingshan shook her head. She's different from me. You ask Captain Zhang to help me find your uncle. It's my job, but my friend doesn't want people to disturb her. I hope you can understand, Mr. Tang. I understand. Tang Yuqi nodded. I was being too impulsive. All right, Captain Lingshan, this is my name card. My contact number is on it. I'll stay here for now, and we'll keep in touch. If you have any news, please let me know immediately. Sure, I'll let you know when I have news. Lingshan nodded and took Tang Yuqi's name card. It was written in a foreign language, but Tang Yuqi had written a temporary number on it. Tang Yuqi didn't say anything more. He stood up and left. From Ling Shan's tone and expression, he could tell that she was hiding something from him. It was just that he couldn't ask her about it. From what he could see, it had to do with Ling Shan's friend. If Ling Shan didn't want to talk about it, there was no point in asking. He might as well wait patiently. Ling Shan waited for Tang Yuqi to leave before calling Meng Yao. She'd had some conflicts with Meng Yao in the past, but ever since they'd worked together to help Meng Yao escape with the unconscious Lin Yi, their relationship had gotten a lot better. "Sister Ling Shan, are you looking for me?" Meng Yao was a little surprised. She was in the middle of a class, and Ling Shan was calling her. She'd asked for leave from the class and answered the call. Usually, Ling Shan wouldn't call her for a chat if there was nothing going on, so the only possibility was that something was up. Yao Yao, I do have something important to discuss with you. I can't make up my mind, so I'm asking for your opinion. Ling Shan said. Are you asking for my opinion? Meng Yao was a little taken aback. She didn't understand why Ling Shan was asking for her opinion. Ling Shan, sis, why are you asking me about your matters? Haha, I didn't make it clear. This isn't just about me. It's about Lin Yi and Tang Yun. Ling Shan quickly added. Actually, it's like this. Someone's looking for Tang Yun. Looking for Tang Yun? What's going on? Meng Yao was shocked. Who is it? It's not an enemy. It's a relative of Tang Yun's family. Don't worry, Meng Yao, it's like this. With that, Ling Shan told Meng Yao about Tang Yuqi looking for Tang Juqing's family in detail. Meng Yao couldn't help but go into deep thought after listening to Ling Shan's story. She really couldn't just tell anyone about Tang Yun. Tang Yuqi was Tang Juqing's nephew, Tang Yun's cousin, but they weren't really familiar with each other. She didn't know what kind of person he was, and she didn't know if he'd reveal this secret. Most importantly, this was hidden from Lin Yi. If Tang Yuqi found out, would he blabber to Lin Yi? If he did, then all their efforts would be wasted. With Lin Yi's personality, he'd definitely go to the snowy valley to find Tang Yun and stop her heartless arts. But if he really did stop her, would the snowy valley let Lin Yi go? With Lin Yi's current strength, while he could fight people above his level and kill Sky Class Masters in one hit, he was still far from the ancient Sky Class late phase peak. Meng Yao wouldn't let Lin Yi take the risk. Plus, it was hard to say whether Tang Yun was still the same Tang Yun from before. Would Tang Yun still have anything to do with Lin Yi after learning the Heartless Arts? All of these were Meng Yao's concerns. After some hesitation, Meng Yao said, Ling Shan, sis, I think we should be careful about this. Although this person is Tang Yun's cousin, and he's a very close relative, we don't know what kind of person he is. I think we should observe him for a while. If he's really reliable, then it's fine to tell him. But if he's not, then it'll only make things worse. Most importantly, is this Tang Yuqi a practitioner? Does he know about practitioners? Would there be any other troubles if I told him? He's called Tang Yuqi? Tang Yuqi's name sounded a little familiar to Meng Yao after she'd finished her speech. She seemed to have heard it somewhere before, but Meng Yao couldn't remember who it was. It was probably someone she wasn't familiar with. Maybe she'd only heard of this person's name or met him once. Meng Yao didn't want to waste any more time thinking about it. Yes, Tang Yuqi. What's wrong, Yao Yao? Do you know him? Ling Shan paused. I don't know him, but it sounds familiar. Maybe I heard from Lin Yi that there's a disciple of the hidden house Tang called Tang Yuqi. Maybe that's why. Meng Yao said, Oh, actually I think so too. I'm going to observe this Tang Yuqi. If this person is really a very reliable person, then I don't mind telling him something. But if this person is not reliable, then forget it. Ling Shan agreed. Also, the thing you said about him knowing practitioners is very important. I'll find a chance to test him. All right, Ling Shan, sis. You decide, but try not to affect Lin Yi. Meng Yao said, Okay, I understand. Ling Shan nodded. Don't worry, I'll act according to the situation. Chapter 2662. The hidden house. He was in a small town with beautiful scenery. On top of a small hill, there were many European-style castles and manors. This was the base of the hidden house hue. When these hidden houses chose their location, they would usually choose a secluded place because it was far away from the hustle and bustle and the air was less polluted. It was convenient. This was also why the Hidden House Han and House Zhao built their houses in the suburbs. The town wasn't a tourist attraction, and although the castle on the hill was beautiful, it was private property. There weren't many tourists here. Qibing and Uncle Zhu found a hotel to stay in after arriving. Uncle Zhu was confused. He didn't know what Qibing was doing here. He'd been here for a day already, and there was still no news or mission. He asked Qibing, but Qibing only smiled and didn't say anything, only telling him to wait patiently. Uncle Zhu was afraid that Qibing would suspect him, so he didn't ask anymore. He waited in the hotel room, but in the meantime, he secretly called Lin Yi. "Boss, it's Second Zhu," Uncle Zhu said in a low voice. He didn't need to be on guard against Qibing. He was an Earth-class early phase, and he didn't work hard to stabilize his strength. There was no way he could hear what they were talking about. Qibing's senses weren't even as good as Second Zhu's. Although Lin Yi had helped Second Zhu to level up, he had been working hard to stabilize his strength all this time. To him, it was normal to train hard for the past few decades, and it would be abnormal if he didn't do it. Lin Yi's strength was much easier to stabilize than the others, and Uncle Zhu only needed to stabilize the part of his strength that the Qi-gathering pill had given him. "Oh, Uncle Zhu, what's the matter?" Lin Yi asked. "Boss, Zhao Qibing brought me to Sky Rain Town. I don't know what he's up to, but we've been here for a whole day. I asked him, but he didn't tell me what he's up to," Uncle Zhu said. "Oh, what kind of place is Rain Town?" Lin Yi didn't know that the Hidden House U was in Rain Town. This is the location of the Hidden House U. Zhao Qibing's 1,000 kicks technique was obtained from the Hidden House U, so I suspect that he's here to ask for some sort of technique again. Uncle Zhu guessed. "Oh, that's where the Hidden House U is." Lin Yi was a little surprised, but he didn't know what Qibing was going to do. "Second Zhu, pay close attention to Qibing's movements and let me know if there's anything." "Okay, boss. I'll see if he's going to come up with a new trump card." Zhu Lao air nodded. Qibing was actually waiting for Yushan's call as well. It wasn't that he didn't trust Uncle Zhu, but that he didn't want anything to happen. Qibing followed Elder Yu's words and hid it from him as well. Finally, in the evening, Qibing received Yushan's call. "Brother Yushan, how is it? Is there any news?" Qibing saw Yushan's name on the phone and asked excitedly. "Later, the Hidden House, you will be having a family dinner. After the dinner, I'll try to bring Yuning out. If I come out, I'll text you. You should be prepared. Is that okay?" Yushan asked quickly. "No problem. I've prepared everything. Don't worry, Yushan bro. I'll definitely catch Yuning. Tell me where to wait." Qibing patted his chest and promised. "Later, I'll think of a way to get Yuning to come out with me. It should be near the Hidden House U's back mountain. Just wait there," Yushan said. "Okay, I'll go now." Qibing nodded. After hanging up, Qikuan went to knock on Uncle Zhu's door. Uncle Zhu, who had just called Lin Yi, jumped in fright. "Who is it?" "Uncle Zhu, it's me. Open the door," Qibing said hurriedly. From Qibing's tone, Uncle Zhu thought that Qibing had heard the conversation between him and Lin Yi. His heart almost exploded, but he still opened the door quietly and asked carefully, "Master Bing, I was playing with my phone just now. What's up?" "Oh, then stop playing and come with me to do something. Quick." Qibing didn't care at all what Uncle Zhu was doing. Okay." Uncle Zhu breathed in relief and asked, "What do you need to do?" "Master Bing, I need to prepare. Catch someone," Qibing said. "Quick, no need to prepare. We'll go straight away." "Oh, okay." Uncle Zhu nodded and quickly followed Qibing out of the room. He asked as they walked, "Who are we catching?" "You'll know when we get there." Qibing waved his hand and didn't say much. Uncle Zhu had no choice but to leave with Qibing, Hidden House U. Today was the night of the Yu's family banquet. Every few days, the Hidden House would have a banquet, and all the direct descendants of House Yu would attend. Yushan and Yuning, as the younger generation of the house, were no exceptions. If it were before, Yushan wouldn't attend an event like this. He'd already given up, and he didn't want to have any status in the house anymore. He was a cripple anyway, so he didn't want to attend a family gathering like this. But today was different. He had a mission to complete, so he came. Yu Shaochen was a little surprised that Yushan was able to attend. He didn't really like him, but as the head of the house, he still nodded to him with a smile. Yushan, you're finally willing to come to the family dinner today? I thought you'd only come out when there are outsiders. Haha, Uncle, I've thought it through. If I'm crippled, then so be it. I can't be a cripple anymore, but I can still do something for the house. I can't be a cripple forever, Yushan said. Oh, it's great that you can think that way, Xiaochun said, after a slight pause. The banquet this time was no different from the usual ones. The old master of house Yu came down the mountain as well, but he didn't say much. Even when he saw Yushan, he only nodded and didn't say much. The banquet ended quickly, and just when everyone was about to leave, Yushan spoke up. Ning, it's rare that your brother is in such a good mood today. How about you push your brother out for a spin? Chapter 2663. Yuning looked at her father, Xiaochun, a little confused. Xiaochun found it strange as well, but thinking about how Yushan's personality had changed before the meal, Xiaochun couldn't reject him. He nodded. Ning, just push your brother Yushan around. You two can talk. If Yushan walks out of the shadow, then I'll give him some housekeeping work. Okay, father. Yuning nodded and pushed Yushan's wheelchair out of the hidden house Yu. The old ancestor of house Yu had already left, so he didn't know about this. Xiaochun didn't think much about it. Naturally, he didn't think that there would be a problem near his house. Yuning pushed Yushan out of the castle and to the manor behind the house. She didn't know what to say. She knew how Yushan got hurt, and although it was his own fault, at least it was caused by her brother and Lin Yi, so she still felt guilty. Ning, I know that in your heart, you must be thinking that I hate your brother, right? Yushan saw that Yuning wasn't talking, so he took the initiative to start conversation. He had to talk, otherwise, how could he stall for time and let Yuning push him to the back of the mountain? Yuning paused, not expecting Yushan to be so direct, but she shook her head. No, we're all you, and we're all cousins. It's all in the past. And Yushan, bro, coming to the banquet today proves that you've walked out of the shadow of your injury, right? Haha, yeah, you're right. There's a saying that goes, you can't write two U's in one stroke. Although you Bing and an outsider beat me into a cripple, in the end, it's my own fault. I was injured because I wasn't strong enough. So who can I blame? It's fine as long as you think it through, Yushan smiled. These days, I've been thinking about a lot of things. What are you doing? Can't you see us siblings talking about family matters? Why are you so close? Are you trying to eavesdrop? Yushan suddenly stopped talking and yelled at a servant who was taking care of the garden nearby. Young master Yushan, I didn't eavesdrop. The servant was startled and hurriedly shook his head to show his innocence. Brother Yushan, he's just working here. I'm sure he has no intention of eavesdropping. Don't make things difficult for him. Yuning had a good heart and quickly dissuaded him. However, she did not doubt Yushan's behavior. Yushan was like this. Ever since he was crippled, his temper was not very good. He often scolded the servants and disciples in the house, so his current behavior was normal for Yuning. Aren't you going to thank Miss Yuning? Yushan snorted. Thank you, Miss Yuning. Thank you. The servant said gratefully. Xiaoning, let's go. Let's go to the back of the mountain where there's no one. We don't want the servants to eavesdrop. Yushan snorted again, then said to Yuning. Oh, okay. With the previous scene, Yuning didn't think much about it. She pushed Yushan towards the back of the mountain. The two of them chatted as they walked, and it was a very intimate conversation. Yuning thought that Yushan had really thought it through and was enlightened, so she was very happy. The harmony of house was the most important thing to Yuning. If Yushan could think it through, it would be good for him to be in charge of the housekeeping. Yushan said it nicely, but he was laughing coldly in his heart. Xiaoning, you're too naive. You believe everything I say? You'll be dumbfounded when Zhao Qibing kidnaps you later. At this moment, Zhao Qibing was already hiding in the back of the hidden house Yu's mountain. Both of them were Earth-class practitioners. It was a piece of cake for them to hide from the patrolling disciples. The hidden house Yu was only a hidden house, and the patrolling disciples were only golden-class masters. This was nothing compared to the ancient level. Zhao Qibing had already received Yushan's secret message. He was ready to kidnap Yuning at any time. When the two of them got close, Zhao Qibing ordered Uncle Zhu. Uncle Zhu, you go and knock that girl out and carry her away. But remember to carry her in a certain position. Don't touch her. She's my future wife. Yes. Uncle Zhu's heart skipped a beat. He quickly replied, but in his heart he was already so old. Naturally, he wouldn't touch her. However, he was curious about Zhao Qibing coming to the hidden house, used territory, to kidnap someone. What was Zhao Qibing trying to do? Uncle Zhu didn't know Yuning, so naturally, he didn't know who the man and woman were. He hesitated before taking action. Master Bing, just the girl? What about the man in the wheelchair? Should we kill them or capture them together? When you go, knock the man out and just capture the girl, Zhao Qibing said. Didn't he see my face? Uncle Zhu paused and asked. It's fine. That's my spy, the young master of the hidden house, Yushan. The girl is his sister, Yuning. I'm planning to make her my wife. Zhao Qibing was afraid that Uncle Zhu wouldn't be at ease, so he explained. Of course, he wasn't afraid that the news would leak since they were about to take action. This would be exposed sooner or later anyway. At that time, it would be time for Zhao Qibing to propose to the hidden house. What's done is done. There's nothing to be afraid of. Yuning? But does a spy need to be knocked out? Uncle Zhu paused. This Zhao Qibing was quite daring. He even dared to kidnap the young miss of House Yu. However, he didn't think much about it. After all, he didn't know the relationship between Lin Yi and Yuning. In Uncle Zhu's impression, Lin Yi was enemies with the hidden House Yu and House Zhao. Yes, won't we expose ourselves if we don't knock them out? All right, let's move. Zhao Qibing saw the two approaching and ordered. Yes. Uncle Zhu nodded and understood, so he quickly rushed over. When Yuning was defenseless, he knocked her out with a palm. Then, under Yushan's expressionless face, he knocked him out with a punch, then carried Yuning and turned to leave. Zhao Qibing saw that Uncle Zhu succeeded and didn't dare to stay any longer. He quickly ran away with Uncle Zhu. After avoiding the patrolling disciples, they got into a car at the foot of the mountain and left the hidden house used territory as fast as lightning. Chapter 2664. Master Bing, where are we going now? Uncle Zhu asked carefully. To the hotel, but not the one from before. We can't stay in the town. We'll go to the city next door. Qibing was afraid that someone in the town would recognize Yuning and cause unnecessary trouble. He'd already checked the route and went to a 5-star hotel in the city next door. Oh, Uncle Zhu nodded, getting the gist of it. Master Bing, you're not thinking of forcing it. Wouldn't that cause conflict and war between the hidden house Zhao and House Yu? Haha, Uncle Zhu, you're only looking at the surface, not the pros and cons in the middle. With that, Qibing told Uncle Zhu about his analysis and plans. After listening to Qibing's analysis, Uncle Zhu came to a realization. This wasn't the time to blame the young miss of House Yu. Turning a bad thing into a good thing was the right thing to do. So Qibing's words made sense. Once Yuning became his wife, everything would be fine. But could Lin Yi make use of this? Uncle Zhu decided to find a chance to inform Lin Yi about this. If Lin Yi could make use of it, that would be the best, but if not, he'd do his best. Hidden House Yu. Yushan and Yuning hadn't contacted each other for a long time, and Xiaochun was starting to panic. He called Yuning's pager, which could only be used within the range of the hidden House Yu. Like the intercom system, it couldn't be used to communicate with the outside world. Xiaochun was afraid that Yuning would contact Lin Yi casually, so he restricted her communication. After the call connected, it showed that she wasn't in range, and the call was restricted. Xiaochun was shocked. This meant that the pager was turned off, or it had left the range of the hidden house Yu's signal. But Yuning couldn't turn off the pager, and the pager was powered by solar energy, so it couldn't be without electricity. The only possibility was that something had happened. With that thought, Xiaochun called Yushan's pager again. Yushan's pager was connected, but no one answered. Xiaochun switched to Yushan's phone, and it was the same. No one answered, and cold sweat dripped down Xiaochun's forehead. Someone, Xiaochun roared. Patriarch, it was Reign 7. U6 had died, and he was now in charge of U6 work, becoming Yu Xiaoqin's follower. Go, get someone to look for Yu Ning and Yu Shan near the family mountain range. If there's any news, report to me immediately. Xiaoqun ordered. Yes, Patriarch. After Yu Qi received the order, he quickly left to look for Yu Ning and Yu Shan. Xiaoqun, on the other hand, furrowed his brows, hesitating on whether or not he should tell his father about this. Xiaoqun decided to wait. In case it was just a false alarm, he wouldn't want to alert his father. The LW had recently touched the barrier of Sky Class early phase peak, and there was a high chance that he'd reach Sky Class mid-phase. He'd been training whenever he had time, and Xiaoqun didn't want to disturb him. However, very soon, Yu7 sent a very bad news. They found Yushan in the back mountain of the family, but Yushan was knocked out. He was now in a coma, and Yushan was alone. There was no trace of Yuning by his side. This news made Xiaoqun's heart sink. He quickly ordered Yu7 to increase the search area and send Yushan over as soon as possible. Xiaoqun wanted to know what had happened. It wasn't long before Rain 7 brought Yushan over. Patriarch, I brought Yushan here. We didn't do anything after finding him, and we didn't wake him up even after checking if he was injured in. Xiaoqun nodded and massaged Yushan's body a few times. Yushan slowly turned around and opened his eyes, a little dazed. The next moment, he cried out, "Not good! Save him! Someone's kidnapped Ningsis." What? Xiaoqun's eyes widened as he looked at Yushan. What's going on? Where's Yuning? Who kidnapped her? Ah, uncle, hurry and save Ningsis. Someone's kidnapped her. Yushan struggled to get up from the stretcher. Calm down first. Tell me slowly what's going on. Xiaoqun frowned as he saw Yushan's rambling. It's like this. Sister Xiao Ning was pushing me around the back mountain when two people suddenly appeared. They knocked me out and kidnapped Sister Xiao Ning. Yushan said. Who? What do they look like? Which direction did they run off to? Xiaoqun frowned. Those two. One old and one young. I don't know the old one, but the young one, I think it was Linny. I'm not sure. It was too fast after all. The young one took her away, and the old one hit me, and I fainted, Yushan said. As for which direction they went, I don't know. I fainted and didn't see clearly. What? Linny? Xiaoqun paused, not expecting Linny to do it. In actuality, Yushan was just trying to smooth things over, to give the hidden house you the wrong direction and buy time for Zhao Qibing. He seemed to be talking about Linny, but he wasn't sure if it was Linny. Even if Xiaoqun found out the truth, he could just say that he didn't see clearly. I think it was Linny, but I'm not sure. Uncle, you know that I'm injured and I can't move freely. I only saw from the side, and I didn't see it clearly. Yushan said, Yu Qi, search the city. Search the entire city and send people to the highways nearby to look for Yu Ning's whereabouts. Yu Xiaoqun ordered. Yes. Yu Qi nodded. Xiaoqun regretted not giving Yu Ning a cell phone, but he couldn't do that now. Yushan had fainted for a while now, and it was a problem if he could stop Linny. With the current situation, Xiaoqun didn't have the time to doubt Yushan. He quickly flew to the mountaintop. This was beyond his control and decision-making. If Yu Ning was just his daughter, he could make the decision himself, but Yu Ning's identity was special, and he had to let the old ancestor make the decision. Chapter 2665. Househead is practicing. Please be quiet. You heard Xiaoqun use impatient voice and jumped in fright. She quickly spoke up to stop him. Something big has happened. Ning was kidnapped by Lin Yi. Hurry and inform father. Xiaoqun said. Yes. Yu Yi heard about this, and cold sweat poured down his forehead. He quickly turned around to inform the old ancestor of House Yu. At that moment, old ancestor Yu's voice sounded from within, appearing in front of Xiaoqun. Xiaoqun, what did you say? Lin Yi kidnapped Yu Ning? Is this real? Are you sure? Lin Yi broke into our hidden House Yu's castle? Father, it's like this, it's Yushan. With that, Xiaoqun quickly told the story of how Yushan wanted to go out for a walk after the meal and how Yu Ning pushed him out. He then told the story of how Yushan fainted and woke up claiming that Lin Yi kidnapped Yu Ning. Yushan said all this. Old Ancestor Yu was old and experienced, and although he was panicking, he was much calmer than Xiaochen. He could hear the illogic in the story. Why did they go to the back mountain? Why would they go to such a remote place? If Lin Yi kidnapped Yuning, why did he keep Yushan alive? Why didn't he kill him? Didn't they have a grudge against each other? Xiaochen was suspicious after hearing what Old Ancestor Yu said. I don't know why they went to such a remote place, should I go ask? But Lin Yi didn't kill Yushan. It could be understood that he didn't want to be enemies with our hidden house Yu. After all, he likes Ning, and it wouldn't be good to kill her family. Old Ancestor Yu nodded. Let's go, we'll go ask Yushan. Yes. Yu Xiaochun and Yu Yi quickly followed behind the old man, and the three of them went down mountain. Yushan saw that his plan worked, and he was secretly happy, but he still acted like he was out of his wits. Yuqi had already arranged for people to expand the search area, sending out all the hidden house Yu's people, but there was still no news of Yuning. Yushan knew that Qibing must have left safely, that it was a success. Yushan, why did you and Yuning go to such a remote mountain? Yushan was happy when the deep voice of Old Ancestor Yu came from behind, scaring him so much that he almost fell out of his wheelchair. Grandpa! After this period of depression, Yushan had learned to not show his emotions on his face. After adjusting his emotions, he turned around and said in fear and trepidation, Grandpa, my sister and I were talking about resolving our grudges. At that time, there were servants walking around. I was afraid that they would overhear our family matters and gossip, so I scolded one of the servants and told him to stay away from us. However, Sister Xiaoning was kind and helped him out. She didn't let me scold him anymore. Then, she pushed me to the back of the mountain because there were fewer people there and it was more convenient to talk. Yushan pushed all the responsibility to Yuning, clearing his name of responsibility. Oh, which servant? Old Ancestor Yu asked. It's not far from the door. There's a servant making flowers. I don't know his name. Yushan paused and smiled bitterly. However, Yushan didn't know this servant, which lessened Old Ancestor Yu's suspicions a little. If Yushan found this witness right away, that would be a problem. Yuqi, go ask around and see if this is the case. Old Ancestor Yu ordered. Yes. Rain 7 replied and quickly ran out. Not long after, she returned with a servant. This servant was the one Yushan scolded earlier, and although he was scared, he didn't dare to hide anything. He told the story, and it was exactly the same as what Yushan said. Old Ancestor Yu nodded, believing Yushan's words. You're saying that Lin Yi kidnapped Yuning? Old Ancestor Yu waved his hand, signaling Yuqi to take the servant away as he continued to ask Yushan. I'm not sure about that. I only vaguely saw that the person seemed to be Lin Yi, but I didn't see it clearly, so I don't know if it's him. Yushan shook his head and said uncertainly. All right, Yuqi, push Yushan down first. Old Ancestor Yu looked at Yuqi and gave him a look. Yuqi could tell that Old Ancestor Yu was suspicious of Yushan, and naturally, he understood that Old Ancestor Yu wanted him to watch over Yushan for now. So he quickly replied, yes. Then, Yuqi pushed Yushan out of the hall. Yushan, naturally, understood that there were too many suspicious points in his plan. Yu Xiaochen was worried about Yuning's safety, so he didn't have time to think about it, but Old Ancestor Yu was different. He was a meticulous thinker, and he must have seen through the flaws in the plan. It was normal for him to be watched over now, and Yushan didn't mind. Once Zhao Qibing got what he wanted, he would have achieved his goal. Not only did he annoy Lin Yi, but House Yi was finished as well. His revenge was complete. After Yuqi left with Yushan, Old Ancestor Yu turned to Yu Xiaochen. Xiaochen, what do you think? Yushan's words are fine, but it's still suspicious, Yu Xiaochen said after a deep sigh. Xiao Yu said after a sigh. There was only him, old elder Yu, and Yui left in the hall, so there was no need to hide anything. He could just say whatever he wanted to say. Not bad. Give Yushu a call and ask her where Linny is. Old Ancestor Yu nodded and turned to Yu. Yes, old master. Yu replied and took out his phone, dialing Yushu's number. Yushan never would have thought that Old Ancestor Yu had a backup plan, one that could track Lin Yi's movements at any time. But it didn't matter even if he knew, since Zhao Qibing had already left the Hidden House Yu's search range. As long as he held on and pushed Ning down, there would be no turning back. So what if he knew that it wasn't Lin Yi? At this moment, Lin Yi, Meng Yao, Yu Shu, and Xin Yan had just finished school. After dinner, Lin Yi and Xin Yan went back to their room to practice, while Meng Yao and Yu Shu sat on the sofa, watching TV. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.